to prevent any person that I ever meet feeling like they're failing, because every single one of you is special within your own right. They don't value how much they can learn from themselves. Far too many people try to overstep and jump past the easy step. But even one easy step forward is a step closer to your goal.
BarberJoshO.P.
Everything I do in life is to be fulfilled and to help the ones around me get their own sense of fulfillment too.
Barbers! What's going on, everybody? I go by the name of Ismari Marv, and you are now tuned in to another live episode of Gem Talk, where we have conversations that inspire greatness. And speaking of greatness, I got one of the greatest barbers, humans, in fact, to ever step foot on earth. Joining us tonight, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Barber.Josh.O.P. What's going on, dog?
What's good, bro? What's good, bro? I appreciate the kind of comments right back at you, bro. It's going to be an exciting conversation with good energy. I can feel.
Oh, absolutely. My man Nick is on here already saying this live is gonna be filled with gems. Barbers, make sure you get out your notepads, get your notes app loaded up. If you're watching this on your phone, I'm going to highly recommend that you throw it up on your TV because you don't want to miss a second of this, man. This is going to be such a insightful conversation. It's going to be empowering. It's going to be helpful. It's going to be life-changing. So if you're watching on your phone, throw it on the TV. So that way, if you get the urge to start scrolling, at least you have the gems up on the TV. And just get ready, man. Get ready to have your life impacted in such a positive way. Because Josh is the man. Where you guys tapping in from? Let us know in the chat. Yo, bro, you just moved to Tampa, right?
Yeah, we moved to Tampa in August, so we've been here for what's that, like 3 months now, something like that. How long I've actually been in Tampa is a lot shorter than 3 months because I've been pretty much nonstop traveling. When we did our visa got slightly delayed, so we had to push all of our tour and condense it into a lot shorter time frame. So it's been a crazy year, but this is amazing. I can see a bunch of students coming through too. Some of these guys we've been seeing in classes this year. What's up, everybody?
The people on the live have been people that have taken some of your classes.
Yeah.
How many you do this year? Do you know? Do you know exactly?
Like in total, like across the world, bro? I honestly have no idea. I know that this year has probably been the most intense year that I've ever had travel wise, because obviously with us moving to the States too, we had a super high volume of dates within Europe to get done before we moved, because obviously now that we're here, I'm going to be in Europe a lot less. So I'm going to be in Europe like a lot few and far between. So it's been a crazy year. It's been the kind of year, like I know we talked about just before we jumped on, that kind of like prioritizing different things ready for next year. Trying to take maybe a little step back from the traveling quite so much. I don't think I can travel like I did this year again. It's not healthy. I've been getting, like, for example, last week I got Thanksgiving week. We had a week where I was a little bit more chilled. So I was dead to the world. I was like, flu hit me straight between the eyes. Just because I had a chance to shut down for a little bit, so my body completely shut down. So the traveling has been, and I'm pretty sure you can relate to some of that sometimes. The traveling sometimes can get you.
Yeah, bro. And I think as far as the travel, and that's one of the things I think a lot of people don't understand is the toll it takes on you physically and mentally. You know, when
living
you see
out of a
people
suitcase.
yeah, bro. The delayed flights, the layovers, the Ubers, the hotels not being ready for you, the jet lag. People don't see that side of it.
Exactly. And that's why I think this conversation is going to be super important, because there's a lot that I focus on within our education, within my own life. To talk a lot about balance, right? To talk a lot about how to stay fulfilled and enjoying your life, despite trying to be someone who is grinding, who is putting in the work and trying to create something for their family, for their world, everything. How can we actually stay happy and fulfilled through that? Because there's so much of it. You see people working themselves into essentially like a depression and a rut because they're either putting in that amount of work behind the chair, spending all their hours in the shop, or they're out traveling, trying to spread what they're doing educational, whatever they're doing. You see a lot of people kind of getting themselves into a rut in our industry because they're trying so hard to make something successful. But end of the day, success is a feeling, right? Like that's all success really is, because that's how you know you're doing good. You know you're doing good because you feel good, right? So to me, like, I want to help people to understand that we want to start chasing the feeling, not the thing, right? So for me, if I can start getting people to understand the perspective of success being a feeling and how we get success can be different for everybody, that can allow us to kind of think, is our life really successful, right? And gain a bit of perspective first. Like, are we successful in life, or are we just striving for something in the future that we might not even ever get? Now, we want to strategize so that we can actually enjoy that path to the future, and we can enjoy the future too. I think that one thing that's super important for people to understand is that, like, we're all on this journey, like me, you, everyone watching, everyone not watching, we're all on the same journey. Essentially, we're all on the journey to our future self, right? And it's our duty to ourselves to make sure that that future self, that person in the future, is someone that we're going to be proud to be. I don't want to work super hard for something and get there and then not even enjoy and feel good about it, because that's what the success is. It comes to do with the feeling. And so I want to help barbers to understand, how can we get this feeling, right? How can we feel good and feel successful every day? Because that's what makes you want to achieve more, right? You want to achieve, like, if we think about the moments in life where you actually think, fuck yeah, I'm going to go, I'm going to achieve, I'm going to do this, I'm going to put the work in, I'm going to study, I'm going to practice. This all happens normally when you feel good. But what do most people do in life? They wait until the world makes them feel good, right? Most people are waiting to feel good. And we've all been there. Like, I'm not saying I haven't been there, like we discussed before we came on. I'm speaking from experience. I've been that person, right, where I would always kind of have the excuse of, like, I need to wait till I'm in the right mindset to do this. I need to wait till I'm in the right mindset to put the work in. When I'm in the right mindset, I'm going to do everything. But what I started to realize is that if I can start controlling that mindset, if I can actually allow myself to be in that mindset all the time, I can be so much more successful in terms of emotionally and successful in terms of physically, because I don't ever have to do what most people do, which is like a productivity of this, boom, boom, plateau, up, down, plateau, up, down, plateau. Social media is the perfect example of what I'm talking about, because you see people, they will go and attend a class, go to CT, they'll go and do something, and for the next 2 weeks, their productivity levels are crazy. And you see them posting, that you see, like, you'll probably get people who take your course, and for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they'll be crazy posting, they'll be super successful with it. I get guys when we do in our classes doing the same thing. And then there's only a small percentage of them that a month later, 2 months later, a year later, are still doing the same level of work. Right. And it's because we've got to learn how to strategize our life to be able to maintain that trajectory of productivity. Because if we can maintain a level of productivity that goes like this, not only are we going to be more successful, like with the things that we physically achieve, we're actually going to feel a lot better as a human being. And that's one of the things that I'm super passionate about, helping people to feel good. Because, as you said, success is a feeling. How we get success, how we get that feeling, different for every single person in the world. But like, my little phrase about life is, we're overcomplicating life by not overcomplicating it. And what I mean by that is, by not taking the time to think a bit deeper into stuff, to analyze things a little bit more, we're actually making it harder for ourselves. By essentially being scared of our own thoughts, being scared of our own power, we are making life harder to be successful with, because we're always putting it in the wrong things. And that's what I want to help barbers to do, to strategize, to be happy and successful.
Yeah, bro. Listen, I think y'all can see what type of night it's about to be, right? What I need y'all to do is drop the gems in the chat. Take a screenshot of this too, or a picture of it if you're watching our TV, so afterwards you can let people know, you know what I'm saying, what went on tonight, because it's going to be, I'm telling you guys, it's going to be life-changing. And you can feel free to share it to your story before it ends, just to let people know, like, y'all might want to get over here, because this is going to be super impactful. So make sure you do that. And guys, make sure you're asking questions too. Again, when Josh is in flow and I'm in flow, we're not going to answer the questions in real time, but we will have a Q&A section when we will answer them. Follow BarberJoshOP on all social media platforms. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, all of that fun stuff. Just to piggyback off of some of the stuff you said, man, you said a whole lot, and you was speaking my language, bro. Like you said prior to the call, it was music to my ears, because it is so true. Success is a feeling. And, you know, when people are asking me, you know, what are some of my goals? What are some of the things I want to do in the future? A lot of times it's hard for me to answer it, bro, because I just want to be doing what I'm doing now. Really, like, I found peace of mind. I'm a very happy person. I wake up every day excited and inspired. I don't always feel motivated, right? Like, I don't always feel like doing stuff, but overall, I'm at peace, right? And I'm genuinely a happy person. And I think the reason for that is because I'm doing things each and every day that I feel are pulling me and that are calling me. Right. And I do that unapologetically, and I do it regardless of what anybody else thinks. I just do the things that I feel are pulling me. And I think that's a big reason why I'm able to be inspired a lot and have that peace of mind. Right. And I always tell people, like, you want to look at life the way you were saying, where it's not necessarily always about chasing specific things. It's about enjoying the experience as you're chasing those things, right? They always say it's always about the journey, right? Because like you said, the worst thing is, I'm gonna let you snap, but the worst thing is to be putting all of this work and not enjoying this journey to achieve this result that you think is going to give you that feeling. And then you get there and it doesn't give it to you. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I always stress it's important to enjoy the journey. Bro, and I know you're
speaking my language, but here's the thing. There's honestly, maybe even for yourself, subconsciously. Yeah. Here's the thing. What you said right then tells me and shows me that subconsciously and consciously, I think a little bit too, obviously, each and every single day, you're connected to your purpose, right? You're connected to what you're doing. You're connected to why you're doing it. Now, here's the thing. And it's funny because it's kind of going along what you said, but almost combating it, but in a beautiful way. No one enjoys a fucking journey. Yeah. Not one person on planet Earth. Everyone, to me, I see online, and I get why they're saying it, but they talk about preaching enjoying the journey. You've got to enjoy the journey. You've got to enjoy the journey. Now, the only journeys you ever enjoy are journeys where you're connected to the destination, where you can see the destination. Because think about as a child, if you're going to go on a long journey, you're going to go on a journey that's like 6 hours long, right? I don't know whether you're on a vacation, visiting family, whatever, but you're going on a long journey. How much of that journey do you enjoy? The first 10 minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes, the last 5-10 minutes. Why? Because at the very start, you've got all these hopes and dreams of the destination you're about to go to. At the very end, you're nearly at the destination. You can see it, you can feel it, you're nearly there, right? So that tells me that human beings respond best and they're the most motivated, most inspired when they're connected to the destination, when they can see and feel the destination. So when they're motivated by destination. Human beings, I don't care what they say, we don't enjoy journeys, we enjoy destinations. And it's not bad or selfish to say it that way, but what you're doing, I don't know whether it might be consciously or subconsciously, is you're doing what I do, which is simply break life down into smaller journeys, right? Smaller destinations. So here's one of the main ways for me that I try to help people to understand. You've got to set yourself a strategy. You've got to set yourself journeys whereby you can actually be connected from the start to the destination. Now, that all goes down to your attention span. It goes down to who you are as a person. You've got to be able to do a self-assessment to get to this point. But for me, what I always find is that the way my brain works, I've got kind of a little bit like ADHD kind of brain. My brain's
we all short. Do. All us creators, our brain is like this.
My brain is short term, right? My brain's very, very short term. So for me, I need to feel, and every creative, one of the things that creatives lack in their life is empowerment, right? Not because you haven't got it, but because it's like, you're always trying to go on this long journey. And most people are trying to do what you'll go to success seminars and they'll tell you about, I need to be myself in 5 years time. I'm aiming to be myself in 5 years time. But A, no one ever really takes the time to plan who that person is in 5 years time. And B, there's 1,825 days in 5 years. There ain't no way you can stay motivated if that's your destination and you are here. Yeah. For me, the way I look at it is I have 1,825 different journeys to go on. Right. I have different journeys to go on because I always think, and if anyone from my classes, I might be repeating myself on some of the stuff that I talk about in a second, but I've said
it's a lot of us are here for the first time, bro. Repeat it all.
many times in life, I'll always talk about life as a car journey, right? If life is a car journey, you are the vehicle. Now, if you don't put any fuel, any gas into your vehicle, you can't move, right? Now, you got to think everything in life that we do as humans is a transaction of energy, right? Everything that we do is a transaction of energy. Energy is our currency as human beings. Now, if energy is our currency, fulfillment or this successful feeling, that's how we get paid. So we got to figure out how to pay ourselves every day. That's our fuel.
Yeah.
So if we go back to thinking of life as a car journey, as if we are the vehicle and we don't put any fuel into our car, we cannot move. If we then put some fuel in, now here's the biggest mistake people do. If we put the wrong fuel in, and this is, I see barbers do it all the time. They go online, they go on Instagram, they see something that's made someone else feel good and be successful, and they try and do that without any thought for, do I enjoy it? Am I going to enjoy this? Am I going to feel good at the end of this? They just do it because they saw someone else doing it. Now, that's someone else's fuel, but it might not be your fuel. It might not make you feel good. If you don't put the fuel into your vehicle, if you put the wrong fuel in, not only will you not move, but you also might break the vehicle. If you start putting diesel in a fucking petrol, you might break the vehicle. So then you might find the fuel. You'll find what your energy sources are. You find your fuel and you start putting fuel into your vehicle. Now, here's the thing with the productivity scale. You're more than likely going to do what most humans do, which is you finally found your fuel. I'm going to drive as far as I can go while I feel good, right? While I feel good, I'm going to drive as far as I can go. But problem is, if you do that with no idea of the fuel in your car, you're going to break down. You're going to run out of gas and you're going to break down. It's our responsibility to ourselves to remember to refuel at regular intervals. So we've got to make sure that not only do we have enough fuel to get to our destination, but we also remember to bear in mind what our energy is so we can keep fueling our car. Now, here's the thing. If that's the case, right, and that's how I think about life, then at the end of the day, what am I going to do? Instead of what most people will do, which is when they feel good, they wait till they feel good. And then when they feel good, they go crazy. They go ham. They go every single day. Whilst I feel good, I'm going to do as much as I can. Right. What I always do is I believe in doing something that you're going to be capable of consistently. So I have two types of fulfillment, two types of energy sources that I keep. I keep a bank of energy and I keep achievement as energy, because obviously achievement's going to make us feel good, right? Whenever we achieve things, we're going to feel good. Now, here's the thing. I don't need to try and achieve everything in one day. When it comes to my achievements, what am I going to do? I'm only going to try to aim to achieve 3 things in a day, right? I pick my top 3 priorities off my action list. So I'll have my goals. Well, I have my dreams, my goals, and my actions. Now, off my action list, I pick my top 3 things every day. Why? Because that's manageable. It's digestible. If we think about like a car journey, instead of trying to drive as far as I can, all I'm really trying to do is drive to the next town along. The reason I'm trying to drive only to the next town along is because when I get there, I can find a gas station, I can refuel. I can enjoy everything that town has to offer. I can go out, have dinner. I can go have a drink. I can actually enjoy my life, not because I'm enjoying the journey, but because I'm enjoying the fact that I reached today's destination, right? So I'm trying to break that down now. Here's the thing. You might not always have the energy. Sometimes you wake up, like you said, you're not motivated. You feel connected to your purpose. You feel fulfilled, but you're not motivated. Sometimes you don't want to do anything. You're a human being. Well, imagine if we could control our motivation levels. We can, and that's when my bank comes in. Remember, as we said, if as a human being, if everything I do is a transaction of energy, and that's what my currency is, think about how a bank works. You get your currency, you get your money, and you put it into a bank, and you withdraw it whenever you can, right? Whenever you need it, whenever you want it. So I'm going to take and make note, right, of all the things that make me feel good. Now, I'm not talking about achievement. Achievement's different. We've got our achievement here. I'm talking about things that make me feel good that I can control and I can choose to do every day. So I'm talking like going on a walk, going to the gym, right? Reading a book, listening to a podcast, having a conversation with someone like-minded, a movie, music, right? Doing a haircut, right? We all have one fuel that we can do whenever we want, that we love. Doing a haircut. And I'm not talking about doing what you're doing behind the chair. I'm on about find someone with good hair who you like to cut and you can get good content of, take good pictures, if that's what you want to do, right? If you're worried about the quality of your haircut, don't worry about it behind the chair. Worry about once a week, do a haircut for yourself. That's part of your fuel, part of your energy, right? keep these all in a bank. Have a list of things that make you feel good, make you feel productive, and that increase your motivation levels. Because then not only every day can you choose to do 3 things and achieve 3 things at a top priority, but you can also have something from your bank that if you're not feeling up to the task, you can do something from this first to get you motivated, to get you in the right mindset, to get you wanting to achieve. So that way, then you're not just waiting for the world to make you feel good. You're actually taking the bull by the horn, so to speak, and you're choosing, I'm going to feel good today. I'm going to actually achieve things today. And then I can start achieving. Now, admittedly, we're human beings. Will we be able to do that every single day of our life? Maybe not. But if we can do 5 out of 7, imagine if you could do 5 out of 7 like that. You're going to be so much more successful because you're going to feel like you're achieving, because every single day you're achieving 3 things. And here's the main thing for me too. I'm strategic even about this. So my first thing that I do, right? The first thing that I do every day will be so easy, I can do it from my bed, right? It'll be so easy. I'll wake up, rub my eyes, and I'm like, okay, first thing on the list today is post that photo, or edit that poster, or do that email, pay that bill, have that phone call, something I can literally lie in bed, get that done, because then I wake up and I'm productive. I wake up and I've already ticked something off for the day before I've even got out of bed. And when it comes to strategizing this, to me, you've got to pick a plan that you can actually stick to. Like I said, my brain is so short term. What I physically do is I plan tomorrow, tonight. I literally don't have a plan for tomorrow till tonight, when I look at my day, pick my top 3 things I need to do, choose things out of my bank that I want to do, and I put it into a time slot. The reason I do this is because I'm the kind of person, if I get a week plan, if someone gives me like a 1-week plan, I'll get like 3 days in and I'll start to decline. If I give myself a month plan, I'll get like a week in and I start to decline. Right? If I give myself a year plan, I might get a month in and I start to decline. Why? Because I'm not connected to my purpose. I'm not feeling empowerment in my choices and my decisions. If I try and tell myself, right, Josh, you've got to go to the gym at 6 a.m. every morning. The first morning, I will do it. The second morning, I will do it reluctantly. The third morning, I'll feel like I deserve to give myself a break and I won't do it. Fourth morning, it's not even a conversation. I'm not getting out of bed. So I know that that's because it's not because I don't want to do it. It's not because I don't need to do it. It's because I feel like I'm following orders. The thing with creative people is we probably didn't do that well in school, a lot of us, because we don't like following orders. We love the idea of working for ourselves because we don't like following orders. Now, here's the thing. If you give yourself a week-long plan, a month plan, a year plan, I don't care if you gave yourself the order, after at least 10% of it, 20% of it, you're going to feel like you're following orders again, and you're going to start fighting yourself. To me, it's all about learning how you work psychologically, learning what kind of plans you're going to respond best to, and then understanding that and implementing it. For me, I plan tomorrow, tonight. I put it in my Google Calendar because Google Calendar will remind you without having to do anything. Apple Calendar, you have to remind it to remind you. And that's just a cop-out waiting to happen, because you'll be like, oh, no, the calendar didn't remind me to do it, so I forgot. To me, I want to make sure.
You got to download the Reminders app.
Yeah.
Bro. The Reminders app is my lifesaver. I hit that. Remind me at 7:30 to prepare to go live with BarberJoshO.P. Okay, reminder set, because my mind works like yours. I'll get wrapped up in something, and then it will remind me, and I'm doing what I need to do. Love that app.
And that's why I like to do the Google Calendar thing, because I want to help. Like, to me, what it's all about is it's what I do with my life. It's how I've managed to stay consistent with my life, because I'm the exact same, if not worse than most people. Like, I am innately a lazy person, right? And I've always been transparent about that. As a kid, I was such a lazy person. I would do the bare minimum. Now, when I found my purpose, I felt more connected to it. But just finding your purpose, just finding what you want to do, that's not going to be the answer, right? This is barbers' biggest problem. They often feel like once they've found barbering and they found what they love to do, they feel like that's the answer. But here's the main problem. Right, you've got to learn how to gain balance in your life. And when I say that, well, especially with hair cutting, you've got to learn how to stay in love with what we do, right? Because most other jobs, right? Most other jobs, what do people do? They have hobbies. They have hobbies alongside their job to make themselves feel good about their job. Now, our problem in our industry is our job is our hobby, but most barbers only ever cut hair behind the chair. Now, here's my biggest problem, right? If you're only cutting hair behind the chair, when do you practice, right? And this is the thing, because most barbers, people love to put obstacles in their own way. But if we look at every barber on planet Earth, when you first start cutting hair, you can't cut hair. Nobody can. Nobody is good at the start, right? No one can cut hair. So if we go from the very beginning, when you can't cut hair, to 1 year in, right? 1 year in, you can cut hair okay, right? Like near enough every barber on earth, from the first moment they cut hair to 1 year in, they go on a journey where they can cut hair not too bad, right? I'm not saying they're going to be the best barber in the world after a year, but you can do haircuts and you can be competent and a few haircuts, and you probably starting to build a clientele. You've just got out of school, like you're starting to do okay, right? That's a huge amount of progression. That's a phenomenal amount. That's an ungodly amount of progression from not even knowing anything about hair and being a regular average Joe on the side of the road to being able to do a haircut. Phenomenal progression in 1 year. Why did that happen? Practice.
Right.
Once you got good enough, or in your mind you thought you were good enough, once you start building customers, how many times do you practice?
You start getting comfortable. You done made it now, right?
No one practices.
Right.
Nobody practices.
Yeah.
And this is the main problem. You can't practice behind the chair. I don't care who you are. When you're cutting behind the chair, that is performance. You are performing a service on the client who expects consistency of execution, consistency of service. They expect consistency. If you start practicing, that is not consistent for the client, and you're trying to give an experience. Even from me, here's my thing. I like to focus, and from my work, I'm hoping you can see that I love to do the best haircuts I can possibly do, right? I really do. But we are stuck in a period of our industry where everyone is focusing on doing a perfect haircut rather than being a good barber, right? Mm-hmm. Rather than actually understanding how to build and scale a career, how to build and scale you as a person. End of the day, you look on the street and you look at the haircuts that are out there. Tell me what percentage of people have a good haircut. It is literally less than 5%.
Yeah, bro.
Right?
They yell at me all the time when I say that. I'm like, bro,
it's less than 5%, right? Which means less than 5% of people are cutting hair to even be decent. Most of the haircuts are terrible, right? So that tells me that 80 to 90% of people don't care, right? They care more about, right, the hair being shorter and feeling good. Yes, right. The haircut shouldn't be butchered, and you shouldn't be giving out bad haircuts. Give out the best haircut you can do. Make it clean, make it crisp, make it structured. Give the best haircut you can possibly do. But if you're so precious about the exact detail and refining of the haircut in today's day and age, where you've got to be able to you've got to be able to get through these haircuts in the day, like, to me, delegate that.
Yeah. Because
that's something as an artist where you're seeing it as a hobby, right? Delegate that time. Do that on your own time. Like, honestly, I promise you, that's one thing that I always used to do, especially once I had my own shop. I used to do essentially what I would call content evenings / practice evenings. When I first started working, like the first barbershop I ever worked in was a chop shop, right? We charged like £7 a haircut. No, £7 hair and beard, like £5-6 a haircut. And we were doing 30-40 haircuts a day, right? If I only practiced behind the chair, I'd still be in that shop or have opened a version of that shop, because I'd only get to do the haircuts that came in at that shop.
Yeah,
if you want to progress,
just insane stuff.
Exactly. If you want to progress, if you want to get better, if you want to do different things, you've got to do it on your own time, right? And I'm not saying I was perfect, right? As coming through, I focused so much on the art of it, and I loved it. But I learned over time that if you're looking to be a barbershop barber and build a successful career, right, 80% of what you do is about how you make them feel, not about what they look like. And Absolutely. You've got to allow them the look, the aesthetic. That's up for you. That's what you care the most about. And if that's the case, delegate that time. Just once a week, practice on your own time. No time limit. No expectation of paying customer. Right? You can practice new techniques. You can try and get good content.
So how do you recommend they do that? Like, for a barber that is saying, "All right, bet that makes a lot of sense. I need to start practicing." What do you recommend they get? Mannequin?
So there's two ways I would go about it. So one of the main ways, and the way that I started off when I was in the chop shop, was if any haircut that I struggled with, any haircut that I knew I wasn't that good at, or I didn't feel confident with, that's someone to ask back after work, right? So obviously not during the haircut. The way I used to say it to them would be, "Hey, I know you love how I cut your hair, but I'm determined to get better. I'm determined to improve, and I know I can do your haircut even better. Next time you want a haircut, let me know. I'm going to do it for free after work." And I used to do it after work at the shop if they let me, or I'd do it at my own house. We had a barber station in the house. I'd let me do it there where I can have the time just to practice. It's going to be free. End of the day, it's going to be a free
You
haircut.
cut hair for free? Barbers
Bro,
don't want to cut hair for free, bro. What?
Here's my thing. I started for free. I'm going to finish for free. That's what I always used to say. And I'm lucky enough now that when I do cut my customers back home in England, if I ever am back, I cut their hair for free because they'll either be modeling or I just cut their hair just because I wouldn't be where I am without them. So, but free haircuts is the only way for you to practice because then you eliminate all risk. Here's the thing. Athletes, right? What do athletes do? What do musicians do? They have pre-game rituals, pre-concert rituals. What is the psychology behind a pre-game ritual? It's to make yourself feel as comfortable as possible whilst you're about to do the uncomfortable, right? So just before you're about to do something uncomfortable, they're going to make themselves be as comfortable as possible so they feel good, right?
Oh,
so
yeah, you back. All right, cool.
So if I'm going to try and make myself comfortable in an uncomfortable situation, if I'm practicing a haircut, practicing a technique, practicing anything, I want the only uncomfortable thing to be the haircut. I don't want anything uncomfortable about the customer. I don't want them judging what I'm doing. I don't want them hoping it looks good. I don't want them worrying about pain, worrying about time, worrying about any of this. I don't want to be worrying about other barbers watching. I want all the uncomfortable stuff out the way. I'm going to control the situation. So I'm going to do it on my own time where the only uncomfortable thing is practicing this haircut that I'm not so good at. And end of the day, it's a free haircut. They're not going to say no. Like 80% of the guys won't say no, right? They're not going to say no to a free haircut whereby they already like how you do it. So they know it's not going to get worse. You know what I mean? Like it's going to get better than that. So they're going to let you. Then, as I would say, like that started to kind of transcend. Once I started to feel more and more well-rounded, more comfortable, these evenings where I would normally practice and get better, I started making it into more content evenings where it would either be like if someone walks in the barbershop and they've got long hair and they want short hair, do not just give them short hair if you want time to practice and learn. That's the perfect person. He's got long hair. He wants short hair. Tell him, come back after work. I'm going to cut your hair for free. I'm going to give you a beer. You just sit there. Let me do my thing. It might take 2 hours, but because I want to get photos, I want to do this and that. If you want to, you don't have to. Like to me, content haircuts, I would always book for 2 hours because the haircut, like I might spend between 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what the hell the haircut is, how creative it is. But then I want to give myself 30 minutes to an hour to shoot it, get the videos, get the lighting right, and not have to worry about it. So
and plus like you were saying, because you're getting that practice, and since they're going from long to short, you can practice a bunch of stuff.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You can do 2, 3 haircuts. Like I've had people do that before, where I've come in and I've done 2 or 3 haircuts. One of the most popular haircuts that I've ever done and people saw a lot of was the pink mullet guy, right? So the guy who had the pink mullet and it was all separated, like all the styling at the back, all the pieces, that guy left with a skin fade. Right. End of the day, as long as they leave with the haircut they want as the customer, you can do whatever the hell you want in the meantime. Do you know what I mean? Like
that reminds me of when I was practicing designs, when people would get skin fades. That would be the time where I'd practice some squiggles or a star or something right in the back of the head.
Exactly.
And then shave it off.
Exactly. I used to do like back in the day when I first started doing like crazy haircuts all the time, I would do like reverse fades. I remember this one guy come in and I literally reverse faded, right? He wanted a high fade. He literally asked for a high and tight. And so I had a bald line all the way around. He had like bright ginger hair. So I reverse faded and outlined all down the bottom, right? And it looked sick. The image looked sick. The image looked fire. But the client, I literally just shaved that bit off, faded in my high and tight, good to go, right? And that's the thing. This goes along with the same mindset. I have the same mindset throughout everything. Instead of waiting for life to present it to you, go out and get it. Here's the thing. Man, I don't get any long hair models in the barbershop. Neither does anybody. Nobody does, right? The amount of long hair clients I have, minuscule, right? Even when I was in England, minuscule. There were people who I'd find and ask if I can cut their hair, right? When I used to work in the barbershop, the most common haircut was a number 3 on the sides, short scissor cut on top, because I was the shop owner. So I got a lot of like the business guys who just wanted basic, simple haircuts. Right?
You were zipping through those.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing, like, and I was actually talking about this in my class today, in my one-to-one, because the student in the class was talking about how he wants to be the kind of barber who takes his time and does the perfect haircut on everybody. And one of the main things I actually said to him that I learned this the hard way too. I learned this a little bit, but if you build a legacy as being this pristine barbershop barber who only delivers these like amazing refined haircuts in the shop and takes an hour to an hour and a half on everybody and gives essentially a VIP service to everybody, and that's all you ever do, your legacy won't go beyond you.
Yeah.
because these guys, these customers don't want to leave you. If this person's researched you, found you, is willing to pay you like $150, $200 for an hour appointment, right? You build up a barbershop, it's going to be very hard to scale that because 90% of people are your average Joe who want that. They'll probably pay you more to get them in and out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I used to have.
I love hearing. I didn't know you said stuff like this. Because I be saying this, and they look at me like I'm crazy. And then when you see your work, it's interesting.
Here's
because
the thing:
your work is so phenomenal. But you've been in this industry for a while now, so you understand these things. So I love sharing this perspective, bro.
My biggest, like my customers. When I used to work in the barbershop, I used to. If you were a first-time customer, here's the thing: I did want to give more of a VIP service, but I found out the hard way. Scaling my barbershop was harder and a longer process because it was harder to give my customers to the guys because the customers didn't want to go to the guys. The customers who I used to do
they
more
wanted to stay with you.
Exactly. The customers who I used to do the more VIP service on didn't go to the guys, right?
Yeah.
It was the average Joes who I booked. They went to the guys instead. And they're the ones who are the bread. Exactly. They're bread and butter. They're the guys who stayed in the barbershop, right? The other ones went to the next VIP service barber. But here's the thing too. At the end of the day, if when it comes to my appointments in England, what I used to do was I would have like if your first time booking with me was an hour, you would book an hour appointment so that I could give you the full VIP service. I could give a good consultation, find out what you wanted. And then next time I based how long I took to off of your energy. Because here's the thing, perfect service. This is the biggest thing in life is you've got to understand that you should never change who you are, never change your ethics and your morals, right? But you have to understand to be successful, you've got to understand how to change how you deliver yourself, right? The perfect service for one guy is different from the perfect service from another guy. So I used to, first appointment would be booked for an hour. Whether it took an hour or not was more down to you as the customer. What did you want? What are you looking for as your perfect service, right? Now, here's the thing. You've paid for an hour. If you want an hour, and this is the thing I was saying to the guy in the class earlier today, I was like, if my customer wanted an hour, the haircut was barely ever the hour, right?
Yeah. It was
the haircut might take half the time. It was chilling, talking. It was a head massage. It was the hair wash. It was the facial, the moisturizers, the masks, or whatever. That's the add-ons that I would give because still, even for the guy who wants an hour appointment, 90% of them want to feel good, not to have you rubbing over the same spot for an hour. If I want to do that now, I'm going to do it on my own time. I'm going to do it on my own time, get the perfect haircuts ready, get my Instagram, get the detail, get the content. But in the barbershop, I would be like, right, first appointment, an hour, see what you want. Then I would have my appointments ranging from 20 minutes, and that would be like full skin fade haircut, 20 minutes to an hour, depending on you, because the perfect service to everybody is slightly different. But at the end of the day, if you want something scalable, if you want to be able to build a legacy, you have to be able to help more people. And that's what we're doing as well. And the mindset we have with our education. This is the biggest thing. The main thing that people tell us after they take any DFS formula classes is, I wish I'd learned this in school. Because what we're doing is literally a hybrid between hairdressing and barbering. Because here's the biggest problem in today's industry is that we have to get better, right? We do, because the fashion and the trends and the expectation of customers has increased a little bit because of social media. So they expect maybe some slightly softer haircuts, more longer lengths on top. A lot of customers do want these kind of haircuts. So we have to have a way to cut them, right? Now, the only way to learn how to cut these haircuts at the moment is hairdressing techniques. Now, at the end of the day, hairdressers on average have an hour to cut this much hair off and they don't fade, right? Now, we're expecting on average barbers to do 30-minute appointments, do a haircut and fade with the same technique. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do barbershop haircuts with hairdressing techniques. You can, right? And it will work. But 90% of barbers don't do it efficiently in the barbershop. They can't. I have literally seen people educate on stage and teach people one way of cutting hair and then work in a barbershop and cut a completely different way, right? And cut just by picking hair up and cutting it. I'm never going to teach you something that I'm not going to use in the shop. And that's where what we do is that perfect hybrid, because it has the precision and the detail of hairdressing and the control, but it has the efficiency, the logicalness of classic barbering, and allows you to do the precision in 30 minutes, in 20 minutes, in an hour, whatever kind of barber you want to be, however long or detailed you want the haircut to be, whatever hairstyle it wants to be, you can use the same system. And
I think
it's so freeing for people.
A good point for you to make, bro, because from the outside looking in, I feel like it's easy to maybe misinterpret what you're doing, because seeing the work that you're doing, I think a lot of barbers will tie that to the idea that that's for barbers that are doing hour services, hour and a half long services, and not think for a second like, yo, learning these frameworks and these techniques will work for you as well if you're doing 30-minute services as a barber. That's
and this is the thing. I used to use the same. Obviously, I used to use the same system, but I always think like a lot of people try to consider. A lot of people try to consider me the proof of concept. Like, I know that, like, Bossio tells me, he's like, but you do it and it works, so it's obvious it works. And I'm like, bro, I'm not even the proof of concept. The proof of concept now is the tens of thousands of barbers using it across the world, day in, day out in the shop. It's our team who've used it to scale themselves and scale their careers. Because that's the real proof. Because there's now tens of thousands of barbers using this, getting quicker. The amount of people who tell me, right, I've got quicker by using this. I've got better by using this. I'm doing the haircut in a shorter time and better by using this system. Because the people look at my work online and, yeah, admittedly, they might think that this is for only people who are trying to be like super detailed, super refined. But I'm like, no, it allows you to do the best haircut you can do in the time frame you have to do it. Now, what you might see online is from when I do classes. Obviously, if I'm doing classes and I'm teaching, it's different to what I would do in the barbershop, because when I'm in the barbershop, my purpose there is for the customer, right? When I'm now teaching, my purpose there is for the barbers. When I'm doing haircuts for myself, the purpose for the haircut is for myself. And that's what I allow myself to do. And you've got to be able to get yourself to the point where you see the fulfillment in all of that, rather than essentially, and I don't mean it to sound disrespectful, but instead of worrying about your own ego about, oh my God, like this isn't the most detailed fade I've ever done with the perfect lineup, that guy's probably not got the best hair for it. You're probably not going to post him on Instagram. He just wants to feel good, right? And now if my energy starts to go down because I feel bad about the haircut, that's not fair on the customer, because now the customer's going to feel down about the haircut. Because again, the energy you put out is the energy you receive. And the whole thing about the haircut,
I feel like that happens a lot, bro. And that's been part of the mission I've been on, is to help barbers understand, like, it's okay to do basic haircuts and simple haircuts. And somebody's, you know, like when you look outside, 90% of people walking around, 95% of people walking around got these haircuts that ain't all that impressive. It's okay to do those, because as a barber, it can be discouraging when you're in this little Instagram social media world and all you're seeing all day is this fire insane work. And you want to be able to do that. But every day you're in the shop, you got these basic, the bald-in Joe coming in that fade, his hair don't look that good. It's hard to feel inspired when you're doing that. But then you see that dark hair with that light scalp come in. Now you're inspired. So I'm trying to be on that mission to help them feel like, yo, it's okay to see them basic regular cuts and feel good about those too, you know?
100%. Because at the end of the day, like, here's the thing. You can't only enjoy the haircuts that are going to look good on Instagram, because that's not life, right? That's not real. But what you've also got to understand 1%. Is you've got to also stop putting obstacles in your own way. So one of the biggest things I see with barbers is they'll put two obstacles in their way, right? One of them, and because with social media now, and I'll probably we'll get onto social media in a lot more depth, because I have some really good theories on it later on. But when it comes to the mentality behind like what they're looking for, and like, do they feel like their work's good enough, blah, blah, blah. On social media, first thing I see people as one of the biggest excuses they tell themselves is that I'm going to stop comparing my day-to-day to other people's highlight reel. And they use it as an excuse to not build a highlight reel. I'm like, that's no, if you want to build a highlight reel and you want your Instagram to look like something, right? Go make it look like that. Right? But you're not going to get it from your day-to-day. You've got to put the time in, like the other person is probably doing, to get the clients, to take the content, to get the lighting right, to get the camera, to do all this stuff, right? If you want it, that's what you've got to go do. If you want to do your basic day-to-day, do your basic day-to-day. But here's the problem. Most barbers worry about their basic day-to-day. They worry about posting their basic day-to-day. They worry about all of their content. Why? Fear of judgment, right? Now, why are they worrying fear of judgment? Because they think when they post it online, barbers are going to hate on them. Barbers are going to trash them. And here's the main thing. Why in planet fuckery are you marketing yourself to barbers?
Right.
Why are you hashtagging Barbershop Connect if you're trying to get customers?
Right.
If you're trying to get customers,
you're speaking to my soul right now.
I said it in a class, and I meant it kind of tongue in cheek, but I also meant it because I said to people, like, if you're trying to tag if you're trying to post about your progress with the DFS formula, or your progress as a barber, or you started educating, you started doing all these things right in your career progression, and I'm on board. I love that, and you want to tag me in it, great. Fully encourage it. I want to see it. I want to see the progression. I want to see your DFS formula posts, right? Tag me in all of that. But if you're posting and your caption is appointments available Friday, what the fuck are you doing tagging me?
That's a
what
fact,
are you?
bro.
What are you
I'm
doing
never coming
tagging
to
me?
see you for a haircut ever. I love you, bro. I'm wishing. I'm rooting
that's
for
what
you.
I'm saying.
I want you to win. I'm not coming
Exactly.
to see
I'm saying it because I care. Because I'm like, here, most barbers, if you ask 99% of barbers, their main goal is to get more booked. And if you look at their hashtags, it's Barbershop Connect, Barbers Inc. TV. And these are great things to hashtag if your clients are barbers. But if your clients are clients, you should be hashtagging every town in your local area.
Right.
Every town in your local area within 10-mile radius, hashtag that town and barber.
Right.
Everyone
if
you tag.
Barber.Josh.O.P that has a program for barbers, does classes for barbers.
Exactly.
If your barber has classes for barbers.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's different. But y'all
and then it's all relevant. If you're trying to then if you're trying to transfer a little bit and you're trying to maybe build into something else and you're trying to become an educator, in that one post, change your hashtags to something suitable. If you're trying to target and get booked, tag all the local businesses. Use your 20 tags on local businesses. Use your hashtags on local business hashtags. Don't use it as an excuse. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Your marketing only needs to be directed to your target market, because social media is virtual word of mouth. Now, I guarantee you, if all of your followers, or 80, 90% of your followers, are normal people, potential, and at the end of the day, all of your followers, in my opinion, should either be friends and family, customers, or potential customers. That's literally it, because social media is a business marketing platform. It is not social, especially the way barbers use it. We're not trying to use it for social, right? You're trying to use it to market your business. So all of your followers, if they're not a family or friend, if they're not a client or a potential client, you're clearly doing your marketing a little bit wrong, right? Because your worry of judgment is only coming from the fact of, barbers are going to talk shit about your haircuts if you post all the normal haircuts. But here's the thing. How many of my clients did you ever see on my Instagram? Yeah. How many of my number 3 on the back and sides and a short spiky haircut on top did you see on my Instagram? None. Why? That wasn't what my Instagram was for. I wasn't using it for that purpose, right? I was using it as a vehicle to market myself, to be an educator. So you see the haircuts that are going to stand out to barbers. You see it marketed in a way that's going to be targeting barbers. These are the things that I can do because that's my target market, because that's my job. I haven't cut hair in a barbershop for 3 years. I am not a barber in that realm now. And to me, as much as I loved it as the vehicle it was, I knew that I wasn't destined to be a behind the chair barber, because I used to get too bored, right? And I mean that in the nicest way possible.
And your brain is like this all day long. There's no way you could do that for the rest of your life.
Here's the thing, our industry needs all of us, right? So no matter what kind of barber you are, no matter whether you're a behind the chair barber, whether you are a session stylist, whether you are an educator, a showcaser, whether you are an innovator with product innovation, that kind of stuff, whoever you are, the industry needs us all. And even the chop shops, right? I actually have a very soft spot for chop shops, not because I like them and because I want to butcher haircuts. No, I don't. But they get a lot of hate. And at the end of the day, if there weren't such thing as chop shops and cheaper barber shops where you can pay $5 to $10, get a quick in and out haircut, if these didn't exist, where would the people with less money get a haircut, right? You have to be able to throw some appreciation to them shops too. To me, it was the best thing I ever did was working in one of them shops, because it taught me how to get quicker. It taught me to innovate, right? It taught me to think on my feet. It taught me to get a wide breadth of clientele, but it also taught me to value everybody along the way, right? It also taught me that one of the best pieces of advice I ever give people is work in a shop with low standard to start. If you're working in at the very start, when you're trying to find your feet, if you're working at a shop where you have to hit the highest standard possible, how much pressure is that on your young brain who's trying to learn, right? And if you're in an environment, I'm not saying it has to be a poor haircuts that they're giving out. I mean, but if there's too much pressure to be this elite haircutter at the very, very start, right? I'm not saying pressure isn't good in some ways, but at the same point, having that sort of naivety and having that ability to work in that chop shop at the start was one of the biggest blessings I had, because it meant I could fuck up hair and it didn't matter. right? Because they were having pretty fucked up haircuts anyway, right? It was one of the things that freed me because it allowed me to really practice what I wanted to practice and kind of become the barber that I wanted to become. And I think that's one of the key things we got to do is start, as we said, build a life towards someone who's going to be the person you want to be. And that goes into like, so one of the key things with success is like to build success, you have to have a community behind you. To build a community behind you, you have to communicate with them, and you have to communicate all of what you want to do, all of the things you want to do, the dreams, the goals, everything. But it's something that I don't think barbers do enough of, because they just go on Instagram and they see the educators, they see the showcases, and they think that, okay, I'm going to go be famous, right? And here's the thing. I don't care if you're a barber. I don't care who you are, you're not famous, in my honest opinion. It's not fame. It's like you can help people. Like I would, for myself, I have a platform to help people. Right. If someone people come to me in the DFS formula, I would like to think, knock on wood, right? I would like to think is, well, not even at this point, I know, right? It's going to change the industry because we are
it is changing.
It's changing the industry.
For sure.
But this will be the way that you learn to hair in barber school, and I can mark my words, that will be the case. This will be the way you learn to hair in barber school, because that's what is needed. Yeah. But also because everybody is always trying to aim to hit the top 10%. When people aim for success, what do they aim? I want to help the top. I want to do this. I want to educate. I want to do this. And they're always aiming to build up this top 10%. Like they want these top 10% to come to their classes and learn and do all this. But end of the day, barbers like me and you, barbers who want to help people progress and grow, barbers who want to progress and grow. As much as we think there's loads of us and there is, we're only 10% of the industry.
Yeah, that's a fact, bro.
Because if you look at the street, there's like 90% bad haircuts. So we're clearly only 10% of the industry. If we want to help people, we got to start here. Right. Yeah. We got to start with the grassroots. We got to start with the schools. We got to start with the chop shops. We got to start with all these barbers who at the moment don't want to help and grow. They don't want to push the industry forward. But if the industry wants to really elevate to the point to where we want it to be, where it deserves to be, it can't be this disparity that's happening at the moment where there's us 10% pushing and growing. This 10% doesn't want to help. So we want to aim for this 90%, sorry, at the bottom. We want to aim for them and help them and give them the DFS formula, because at the moment, the reason they don't want to get on board is they see these hairdressing techniques being used and they know it's not going to work in the barbershop. And so they think, oh, fuck that. Why would I bother doing all that stuff when I don't need to do all that stuff? Classic barbering works, bloody, bloody, blah, right? Old school way works, bloody, bloody, blah. They see the DFS formula, and we've had it in our classes. Barbers, OG barbers, 25, 30-year barbers, and they'll be like, holy fucking shit, that shit is good. They'll be like, that works.
So saying that, right? I don't want to fly by that. What if, have you considered even introducing different like forms of marketing for that? Because like to change the perception of how people are perceiving it.
So I think over the next year, you will see a lot of it, but I don't think that will come from me specifically. I think that will come from the ecosystem doing its thing. Because
I gotta be honest, like I said earlier, bro, like maybe somebody who's more involved in the industry, been in the industry for a while, maybe they can look at what you're doing and have enough knowledge to know, like, okay, whatever they're learning in there, we can apply in all these different ways. But I feel like maybe for a beginner or somebody just starting out that is still so naive, seeing what you're doing is amazing, bro. It's some of the dopest shit I've ever seen in my life. But I could also understand why maybe a beginner barber or even a more seasoned barber may think that what they're going to learn in there is stuff that they don't necessarily need. Whereas if maybe different things were shown as far as the marketing, they would be like, oh, okay, this will work for me in my shop in the suburbs.
I agree. And some of the stuff that we're working on that involves more of the whole team. So one of the things that I've been saying for a while is that we've almost been, as much as it doesn't appear this way, people think that I said it on a podcast not long ago, but people think that I'm like shouting and screaming from the rooftops, DFS formula, everyone do this, everyone do that. Honestly, in my honest opinion, I haven't even started raising my voice yet. I haven't even started raising my voice because we know where this is going to go. We know how powerful it is, but we've almost in silence been building the most solid team of educators.
I agree.
And that's where the marketing will change. I think that part of the call to it in regards to its legitimacy within the education realm had to come from the idea that you can do these pristine haircuts from it.
Yeah.
Now we can utilize the ecosystem we have, where we have barbers of all styles, classic, modern, longer hair, shorter hair, like in and out barbershops, more VIP barbershops. We have all of these in our ecosystem, whether it be in our team, our students, everything. These are the guys that we're going to be starting to roll out marketing with, who can then start to show everybody else, look, this is, because honestly, word of mouth is the thing I think that gives it the relatability at the moment, because we have so many students who I see every day in, day out, get tagged in amazing posts about it, get tagged in people sharing it. And so I know that, like, if you've got like your barber who's just doing basic day-to-day haircuts, who's got better, we see it, their barbershop gets involved, right? Next thing you know, like the schools get involved. If when we have school teachers, tutors, or we have, like, we're already working with a bunch of schools, and we're starting to roll it out to work with a lot more, to actually we want to partner with schools so we can get this to be their curriculum. And because we're starting to work with a lot of them, I think that's where it's going to start to happen, because people will start to learn it from the very beginning. And when you learn it from the very beginning, like the biggest challenge with the DFS formula, honestly, is probably, if you're an experienced barber, the biggest challenge is switching your mindset from what you were taught, because it's something completely different. Exactly. And that's the only challenge beginners take to it, I promise you. So the guy who manages our shop in the UK, he did 5 days. 5 days he was on the shop floor. And obviously he wasn't the best barber in the world after 5 days, but he was on the shop floor good enough to be a paid trainee who was doing £5 haircuts. Within 3 months, he was fully booked on full price. And this is my thing right now, the school system, as much as I love it and it's needed, right? There needs to be obviously licensing, everything like that. It is necessary, but I think like anything, it needs a reform, because education nowadays, realistically, the school system only benefits the school, because barbers don't benefit, because they need to essentially learn when they get out of school. Everyone knows that you go to school, you get your license, and then you learn it in your first year or two outside of school. Barbershops can't benefit because they can't hire barbers out of school. So they have to wait till someone's got experience to be able to hire them. Now, imagine if you could go to school and do 8 months, 6 months to a year, whatever it is, of doing the DFS formula, you're going to come out a beast.
Yeah.
We have people who've, like, I actually met a guy, we did a show in London, and I met a guy there who he learned just off our online academy. That was all he'd ever done. That was the only education he'd ever taken. And he'd only been cutting hair a year. He was a beast. He was an absolute beast. And that's the kind of thing that's happening, because it's so simple and easy to do, easy to follow and relatable. People are genuinely like growing like exponentially, and it's amazing to see. And that's why I'm super excited to share it with more people. And when it comes to, like, I love it when you were like, preach, speak it, because I say this to barbers all the time. I'm like, with sales and marketing, you've got to think, a lot of people have a bad rep about sales and marketing. They feel bad about using on social media as like marketing for their business and really pushing it. And I'm like, you got to think, right? If you have a product that's valuable, which most barbers do, their service is valuable and it's very valuable to all their customers. If you have a service that is valuable, right? Sales and marketing, all that is helping people to get that value easier. That's all it is.
Why would you not want them to have that product?
Exactly.
If you truly believe in it, why would you not want somebody to have it?
Exactly. And that's where, like, most people, whether they admit it or not, at the moment, currently use social media for an ego boost, and it's not in a bad way. It's a good one. It's a good thing that they're trying to determine. They're trying to get better. They're trying to impress. And I get it. It's coming from a good place.
It's looking for that validation to feel like I'm good enough.
Yeah, 90% of the time it's coming from a good place. But I'm like, if you switched your mindset, if you started caring. So here's the thing: on social media, there's only 2 things I think you should track. One of them is shares, right? Shares / saves, for example.
Well, that's because creates virality, right? Is people share stuff.
But here's the thing: to me, when it comes to, like, I don't like to think of social media. Don't get me wrong; like, I admittedly get quite big numbers on my views, but I don't like to think about what I'm going to get from social media in regards to, like, am I going to get likes? Am I going to get this? Am I going to get that? I don't like to think about what I'm going to get. I like to think about what I'm going to give. Right? I like to try to think about what am I giving. So I track shares, because the amount of people who share my post is going to let me know how valuable is my post. How much value did these people get from my post? Because if they think it's good enough to share, because here's the thing, social media is like the best marketing in planet Earth is word of mouth, right? So I actually think it's changed now. The best marketing on planet Earth is social media because it's virtual word of mouth.
Yeah.
Right.
And it can reach so many people so quick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I took a screenshot of this right now, right, and I post it online, all of my followers can maybe see that we did this live, and they might be like, "Man, I missed out. Like, I want to get the value, blah blah." Great, but they already follow me, so mostly they're either going to be existing clients or dormant clients or people who are just watching, right? But if everybody watching screenshots it and shares it, I guarantee every single person on here, 99% of their followers don't follow me, right? So when they share it, their world, 99% of their world will see me for the first time and think, well, if my friend who I know or someone that I think is reputable has shared it, this must be worth something of value. So I'm going to go take a look. It's virtual word of mouth. So I need to make sure that what I'm posting online is valuable enough, right, for the people who are following me to want to share it. So I need to track my shares and I need to track my conversion. So again, conversion is slightly harder to track because you can't literally track it. But at the end of the day, if you posted saying appointments available Friday and no one booked an appointment on Friday, it didn't fucking work. You know what I mean? Use common sense there a little bit, but mostly focusing on just giving value. And one of the biggest gems that barbers miss out on every single day, tagging their clients, right?
Especially posting a story post.
That's what I'm saying. Because here's the thing. Not only will the client feel like royalty and want to share it, right? The client also has way better conversion than you, right? Your conversion will be terrible because most of the people who follow you are barbers. Your client's conversion is going to be incredible because most of the people who follow him, he's probably got 500 followers and he probably knows at least half of them personally, right? If not more. So when he posts it, his engagement isn't going to be seen from Instagram like a business. It's not going to be seen as, oh, let's only show it to 10%. He's going to be, most of his people are going to see it because most of the people engage on it. So the conversion is going to be way higher. But that's one of the biggest gems that people think when it's sort of like giving value online. But then it's also the idea too of direct outreach, right? Direct outreach is a huge one that people miss out on. And I've talked about this in a lot of my recent classes.
You're saying reach out to people on your own for direct outreach.
Yeah. So this is the biggest, there's two ways I do direct outreach and they work insanely well. And it only is helping people. So here's what I used to do. So here's what I used to do at the very start. And I will still do it sometimes now, but here's what I used to do at the very start. If I posted saying appointments available Friday, I would literally spend the time, go down, look at every single person who liked it, commented on it, engaged on it. If I could see the person, and I would check if they were from the area and weren't my client, I'd message them with the link of how to book, right? Because think about like a concert.
He's giving y'all game right now for free 99. People charge a lot for this. I'm telling you already. He's giving you the game right now, free 99, barbers.
Bro, if end of the day, right? If you're on Facebook or you're on Instagram and you see a concert, right? So you go, right, I'm looking on my phone, scrolling. The Bad Bunny concert, sick. I'm going to go to that. I want to book my tickets. Carry on scrolling. 2 weeks later, you see your friend at the Bad Bunny concert. You go, fuck, I meant to book that concert. It wasn't that you didn't want to go. It's not that you didn't want the value. It's that you just was a human and you forgot. So if you can be the person to reach out to them, send them the link to book, say, hey, I saw your interest in the appointments available Friday. There's not many left. Here's how to book, right? Amazing, because people are going to see this person values me enough to actually reach out and bother to give me the link. You might get a 50% conversion on that. If you message 10 people, 5 people booked in. Boom, easy. For what? 20 minutes on Instagram, right? So direct outreach. And I used to do it when I used to tour the UK. I used to do it. If I posted a poster, so when I first started teaching, if I posted a poster of an event, I would do the exact same thing. Look down the list, look at all the barbers who I know hadn't already booked a ticket, reach out, send them the link, right? Direct outreach is going to work amazingly. And then now and recently what I've started doing, which is the best thing I've ever done, and this is a genuine gem, right? And I don't understand why it's not a thing already.
The gems in the chat.
But
flood
this one,
with gems.
The best thing you can ever do is you'll see me sometimes do polls on Instagram. I'll post a poll and I'll say, are you on the online academy? And I'll post something like saying, yes, of course, or no, I need to, or something like that, right? Like, for example, if you was another barber, you was just wanted to get clients, you could post saying, have you booked your appointments for next week? Yes, of course. No, not yet. I need to, or something like that, right? Every single person who said no to who needs to be on the online academy, they've literally clicked, I need to be on the online academy. So every person who clicks, I need to be, I'm going to reach out to them. I'm going to copy and paste a message in that says, hey, bro, I will literally show you this, right?
Yeah, I believe you.
I did it the other day.
Barbers.
Right? I did. So here, so we got this one was What's up? I just wanted to reach out as I saw your vote on my recent poll. I'm super stoked that you managed to take the Black Friday deal, and I'm honored that you've chosen to be part of our journey. If there's anything you need, let us know. Because guess what? I don't just message the people who want the class and haven't got it yet. I message the people who also voted yes, right? I message the people who are already involved and who already booked their appointment to say thank you.
So
why? Because it's service.
You're using social media and you're being social
Exactly.
on it. Yeah,
because here, this one is about this one saying I want to reach out and drop you the link in case you wanted to reach out to the online academy. If you wanted to have a look, browse, any questions, let me know. But that direct outreach is going to do so much, not only for your conversion as a business, but for your relationship and connection to the people, because they know that you care more about them than, like, end of the day, most barbers think, for not just barbers, people, they'll post something online, they'll post, I don't know, a link and think, that's going to do it. There we go. If they buy it, they buy it. What else can I do? I've tried my hardest. I've done everything I could. How?
Yeah.
You haven't tried your hardest until you spent an hour on Instagram reaching out to all of them and messaging them, and your conversion will go through the roof. Why? Because it shows you care.
On that too, because that's super important, what you just said, and I don't want to fly by that. But you guys got to think about social media from this aspect too. The goal for these social media platforms is to keep us on the platform for as long as possible, right? So they're designing these platforms in every way, shape, or form to make it so that we can stay on it forever. So by us sharing links that are driving people off of the platform, they're going to suppress that reach, right? So while we should still share links, because reach is reach and it's free, just know that that will be suppressed. So a lot of people won't see it because these platforms do want to keep us on it. So with that being said, this is where that cold outreach and directly reaching out to people is super powerful, because then you control it more than just relying solely on the algorithm to hit people for you. You reach out to them, copy and paste, boom, and then connect with people that way and turn the DMs into dollars. You know what I'm saying?
And this is the thing, and I fully agree. And this is the thing, you've got to see it as a priority to do. So what I used to do, remember I said I had them 3 things that I do, right? Now, when I say it was super growth time, what I mean by that is when I first was really, really, really committed to boosting my social media and growing my social media, I used to set myself 5 things to do, not 3, 5. Reason being, now I only do the 3 is because I do these 2 anyway. I do the first 2 and the last one and the first one anyway, just out of pure habit, because I've always got used to doing it. So, but to start with, I would set 5 things to do. My 3 main things are my 3 achievement goals, right? So the first one is easy, do it from my bed. Second one is the harder one. Third one is sometimes easy, sometimes hard. But these 2, the ones either side, they're social media. Dedicate an hour, set your alarm for an hour earlier, right? An hour earlier than you need to get up, set your alarm and network on social media, right? Reach out to people, connect with people. Here's the thing. The biggest kind of point I make to people is you would not go to CT Expo or go to Las Vegas Expo, or you wouldn't go to any expo in the world or a class or whatever and then not listen, not talk to people, not connect to people, not network, not learn. You wouldn't do that, because why are you paid to go? Social media is literally free, 24/7, 365 a year networking. All the people you could ever need in your network are literally sat at the other end of this, and you're too scared to message them, right? Reach out to these people. If it's business owners, when you open it, like if you have appointments available, literally just spend an hour and dedicate an hour in the morning and an hour at night. Spend an hour reaching out to all the local businesses and say, hey, I saw you another local business in the area. I'm a barber that's close by, and I want to offer you 10% discount on your first visit.
Love it, bro.
All the local businesses. All you're doing is providing value to people. But what it's going to do for you in return is insane, because people are going to gravitate towards your world, not only with coming to your business, but also then you have that business in your network too. You know what I mean? And these are the little things that people aren't doing. And it's all the stuff. And here's the thing. If you want to go further, and anyone will say this, but it's true. If you want to go further than where you are now, you've got to do more than where you are now. Most people, and that's why I talk about strategy, because most people, they only set goals, right? And I don't mean it disrespectfully, but setting goals does not make you fucking successful whatsoever, right? Setting goals does not make you successful, because what? It's not success, right? Action, completion of action is success. And here's the biggest problem as well. And I see this in our industry a lot. Knowledge is not power, right? And I don't mean it disrespectfully, but knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential. Action is power, right? Just because you know things doesn't mean you're going to do it. right? Just because you plan things doesn't mean you're going to do it. Just because you dreamt at night and set goals before you went to sleep doesn't mean you're going to do them. Because most people, and I call it setting goals from I call it dreaming from your bed, right? Obviously, but setting goals from your bed, everybody does it at night. You sit just before you go to sleep, you're all cozy, and you start to wonder in your mind about everything you're going to achieve, how you're going to do it.
in that invisible world building, bro.
Exactly. But you know what you got to do? Sit up and write it down. If you plan it, sit up, write the ideas down, or actually plan a way to do it. Like, get up and actually do it, right? Because here's the thing, most people, they think of all this stuff in their head and then they go to sleep and they wake up tomorrow and do the exact same thing as yesterday, right? If you're doing the same thing as yesterday today, then you're not going to be more you're not going to have grown. And that's where because everyone's waiting for the chance. Most people will, and I've done it in the past, everyone's done it, but I've learned from it. Most people will do where they'll say to themselves, okay, so I've got this big list of things to do. I've got 2 weeks off. I've got a week off in a couple of weeks' time. So I'm going to leave this thing to do, all this stuff. I'm going to leave this till when I'm off work. It's going to be fine. I've got time off. It's going to be great. I'm going to get it all done. Super productive. Then you get to the time off and then you think, okay, cool. So I've been working really hard recently. So I need a break. Yeah. So you have the first 3 days off. You think, okay, cool. So then you get to the middle of the week and you think, well, I don't get time off very often, so I want to enjoy it. So I can do all this at the end. So then you wait till the end. And then when you get to the end, you think, fuck, I don't get much time off at all. I've got work next week. So I'm going to do this when I'm in work mode next week. And then you don't do any of it. And so it's like the more you put off, the more you let it build up, the more you let it wait, the harder it's going to be. And communication to yourself is the key in this scenario. Like, I will be there where I'll look insane because I will literally have a conversation with myself. I did it just before we moved to the States, right? I remember vividly, I had an evening where I was sat on the couch in England and I was procrastinating hard because I had loads of stuff to do, to tick off my list, to get everything ready to move, but also keep the businesses going in the UK, set the business up for the US. And I remember I literally out loud said to myself, it was one of the most British things I ever did too, because I made a cup of tea. But I was I remember I said to myself out loud, I went, right, Josh, you're making this harder because you're getting overwhelmed because you've got so much to do. Just go and make a cup of tea, come back down, sit down and do the first thing on the list, right? Did it, done it, tick through the list by the end of the night, job done. Because you've got to be able to be your own mentor. And that's one of so in our mentor program, the mentor program we did last year is being advanced and developed for next year. But I like to call kind of the concept that I have of mentoring, it's called self-design. The reason why is because the biggest and most important mentor you'll ever have is yourself, right? Understanding the ability to mentor yourself is the most important thing you'll ever have. I'm not saying you shouldn't have other people alongside you, similar mindsets, similar brains to help keep pushing you forward. You should. But what you want to be able to do is be your own mentor. And what I mean by that is you want to be able to design who the future you is. You want to be able to look at everyone that inspires you, whether it be people in the industry, people outside the industry, fucking movie characters, actors, musicians, places, movies themselves, anything that inspires you. Why does it inspire you? Is it a characteristic or is it an achievement? And write them down. Pick out the characteristics you want, pick out the achievements you want, and build it into your person. Because then if you can do that, you have a plan of who you want to be. End of the day, if you don't know who you want to be in the future, how can you be your future self?
Right. I want to say I want to be successful. It's too vague. It's not clear enough. Exactly.
Because I don't want to be successful in the future. I want to be successful now. I want to be successful now and plan to be better in the future. Right. I want my future to be better. I want now to be successful. So that's where I will make sure I'm ticking through these things every single day. I'm achieving these things every single day. And at the end of every day, planning to be better tomorrow. Right. Because what I want to do is I want to enjoy the days that I'm doing. And that's the thing. Like, I can actually enjoy every day. I also think so in my bank that I talked about, when I have a bank of things to do that can make me feel good, in that bank, I also have nothing. Yeah. Right? After this call, I will literally have nothing. I will literally have time to do zero. Why? Because I've just spoken like a crazy maniac for 2 hours solid. So I'm going to have some time where I do zero, right? But here's the thing. Strategy removes guilt. Strategy includes discipline, right? So discipline is all inclusive in the strategy that we're going to implement.
So what you're saying is by planning to do nothing, you're not going to feel bad by doing nothing.
Exactly. I want to be as present as I can in every moment that I can. So one of the biggest problems that we have as barbers is we are at home, with our family because we need to have family time, and we're feeling guilty because we know we probably should be in the shop earning money. Then you'll be in the shop and you feel guilty because you feel like you should be at home with your family. Strategizing can help remove the guilt from your life because it helps you to create more balance. Why? Because you can learn to be fulfilled in that moment from what you're supposed to be doing, because you've planned it. You've written it out in a time frame for today. Let's imagine that it's your wife's, your partner's mom's birthday. So when you're looking at tomorrow, I'm looking at tomorrow, I'm like, okay, so it's my wife's mom's birthday on the evening. So during these hours, I can't do anything. So I'm going to plan the rest of my day around it rather than using it as an excuse to do nothing, because it's always someone's birthday. There's always something to do. So I want to plan my day around it so I can make sure that I actually still achieve the things that I wanted to achieve that day. And it's not, I don't have excuses. And as I said, you're a human being, but if you can 5 out of 7 do that, that means every week you get 15 steps towards your goals. It means every week you're being more fulfilled. Every week you're feeling good. And that's got to be the key, right? That's got to be the key. One of the biggest things that I used to talk about in my classes was that I used to say, like, there's no excuse to not be happy today just because you have a goal for tomorrow. Like, I want to plan for tomorrow. I need to plan for tomorrow. I have to be better tomorrow. But I also want to feel good today. And the only way I'm going to feel good today is if I'm present and balanced within what I'm doing. Because there's been so many times I talk about this, but balance to me is so much easier than people think it is. Balance is, because if you go to most success seminars, they'll talk about how balance is just, you can't get balance. If you want to be successful, you're never really going to have balance. But that's because we're always thinking of balance wrong, right? We're always thinking about balance as time. Everybody tries to balance time. Now, you've got 5 key areas of your life. You've got ability, you've got financial, you've got career, you've got personal, and you've got emotional. These are your 5 key areas of life where you should be setting goals across all 5 areas. You shouldn't just have goals in one area of your life, because you want to maximize your chances of fulfillment. If financial freedom is where you have multiple streams of financial income, so if one's not doing well, the other one covers it. Emotional freedom, which is the key to happiness, emotional freedom is where we're going to have multiple streams of emotional income, multiple streams of fulfillment. So I need to have goals in all 5 areas of my life. So if I have these 5 areas of my life, how am I going to balance that in time? How am I going to have the time in one day? Because most people are trying to do this. They're telling their partners, telling their wives, telling their children. They're communicating the expectation of a balance of time to everyone in their life. So now everyone in your life is expecting you to balance time. So when you're in the shop and you're cutting, you're thinking, fuck, I need to get home because I told my wife I'd be home. I told her I'd be doing this and that. So what I always think to people is, forget about it, right? You cannot balance time because you have 5 areas of your life to balance, and you specifically can't balance it in one day. So first of all, let's think about balance differently. Let's think about balance as moments, as fulfillment, right? So let's think about it as fulfillment. If balance is fulfillment, that means that in these 5 areas of my life, I need to make sure that they get an appropriate amount of fulfillment. That's all. They don't need the same amount of time. They don't need the same amount of time. They need the same amount of fulfillment. It's different, right? For me and my wife, we can spend less time together and have more fulfillment by doing things that are of real value, right? So that's the key, but it's the communication of this that's really key. Because if you don't communicate it, you're never going to have it. But if we think about balance as fulfillment, and then we change our expectation of it from one day. I can't get fulfillment to all these 5 areas in one day. It's stupid of me to think I can. So why don't I think about balance in 1 week? I can more than likely get the chances to get the right levels of fulfillment to all these 5 areas in 1 week. Sometimes, if you need to communicate it, that it might have to be a month, some months. Like for us, for me and my wife, we already talked about it before we moved to the States. We knew that this 4-month period was going to be a time where we tried to balance the 4 months rather than even trying to balance a month or a week, because it's a stupid expectation to try to balance 1 week or a day for us, or a month, because there was so much going on. Everything got so compacted. We had to communicate that we were going to balance longer, right? And that's the thing, clear communication with your entire world over what to expect, because expectation is one of the real, again, expectation in terms of good expectation, and it can be a good motivator, but in regards to negative emotions, a lot of them come from expectation. Because at the end of the day, if let's say, for example, you and your partner are having a rough time, it's usually to do with expectation, right? Because yes, one side of the argument will maybe have done something wrong, but maybe the other side is also, you were kind of wrong for expecting them to do something they weren't willing to do or didn't want to do. It's the expectation that is part of the killer there. And the reason why I get so passionate about talking about all of this within barbering and to barbers is because A, it's something that we don't touch upon a lot, and B, when do you cut hair badly? When do you have off days? It's when something else is going on. It's when you lack balance. It's when you've got stresses in other areas of your life. If you can learn to focus, to give fulfillment to all areas of your life, you're going to cut hair so much better. You're going to learn so much quicker because your cognitive processing is going to be so much faster and sharper, and you're going to be so much more aware and, most importantly, fulfilled. Because you're going to be present in the moment of what you're doing, no matter what it was. If my moment in this next hour is about fulfillment, is about nothing, I'm going to be fulfilled from doing nothing. If I didn't give myself the time to do nothing, I won't be fulfilled from doing nothing. I will gain fear because I did nothing, and I'm worrying that I've spent too long doing nothing. But if I allocated the time to do nothing, I can feel good about doing nothing, right? If I allocated the time to spend with my family, I can feel good about allocating that time. If I allocated the time to go work, I can feel good about allocating that time. And that's got to be the key, because end of the day, it's all about energy. Energy is how we get paid. We've got to understand, how can we keep getting ourselves energy every single day so our trajectory of productivity can go like this. We don't want to risk crashing and burning. We don't want to risk psychological burnout. Psychological burnout is more important than physical burnout to be wary of. Yes, physical burnout is very important to be aware of, but physical burnout is pretty obvious, right? It's pretty damn obvious when you're getting tired and you've worked too much and you need a bit of a break and you need a rest. But you don't want to think that psychological burnout is physical burnout. Psychological burnout is when you no longer gain the fulfillment from something that you once gained it from. And that's why I said at the start of this conversation that you've got to learn how to stay in love with something. Right? Falling in love is, I say all the time, but falling in love is easy. Anybody can fall in love, whether it be with a person or an industry or a hobby or whatever it is. Falling in love is the easy part, because when you first gain fulfillment, but fulfillment is only fulfillment when it's just as good or better than everything else that's come before it. It's the same with relationships. Relationships only work, right? Whether it be business, personal, they only work when there's a journey to be had. And what I mean that is, people can see destinations. They can see things that are going to fulfill them. So for a personal relationship, you have to have new experiences. You have to go to new places. You have to try new restaurants. You have to watch new movies. You have to do different things, right? To keep the levels of fulfillment raising and raising and raising. Same's going to happen in the barbershop. If I want to stay in love with cutting hair, I've got to continue to develop and grow and have new experiences. The only chance you're going to get to do that is giving yourself the time. Biggest excuse that barbers ever tell me, ever, and this one grinds my gears because it's just stupid. I don't mean it disrespectfully, but the biggest mistake, the biggest excuse anyone ever tells me is, man, if I had an hour to do a haircut, I could do haircuts like that. Go and fucking do it then. Who the fuck's going to stop you? You might not be able to do it in the barbershop, but grab life by the fucking balls, grab life by the horn. Do what you got to do to make your life the successful life you want to live. Stop worrying about what anyone else is going to think, and stop worrying about you and your world, because at the end of the day, if you're putting other people first, you're not putting them first. Right? And that's just a pure fact. End of the day, think barbers, right? As a barber, you are literally a giver of energy. What do you do every single day? You give energy to your client. You make them feel good. You give energy physically to make them look good, but you're giving energy, right? All day, every day. So you're essentially a gas station for people, right? People come to you to feel good, to gain energy. And through that, you can affect the whole community, because you can make that person feel good. They go make someone else feel good, and blah, 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 right? But if you don't have the energy to give, what are you going to give? You can't and you can't fill your car up at a gas station that's run out of gas. It's just impossible to do. So if you're the gas station, you got to make exactly. And that's why I get so passionate about trying to get barbers on this mindset of self-care. But you have to be careful, because self-care, and this is why I say strategy, because strategy of self-care is important, because self-care can lead to avoidance really fucking fast, right? Self-care can lead to avoidance and procrastination really fast. So you have to keep yourself strategic, whereby you have discipline within it. But I also don't love discipline on its own. I think discipline and strategy have to come as an all-inclusive package deal, right? Because my honest opinion in terms of enjoying my life is that sometimes discipline, if you don't strategize it, can be depressing. And what I mean by that is, I always use food as a good example of it. For example, for me, now everyone's different, everyone will work different, and everyone will gain fulfillment from different ideologies. So you've got to always work by not what I'm saying, but adapt it to suit your own life, right? And suit who you are. But for me personally, I love food, right? And if I didn't keep a strategy, I have a bad relationship with food. And what I mean by that is, I will be disciplined. right? But when I'm disciplined with food, I don't enjoy it. What I mean by that is I count my calories, because if I count my calories and I track what my protein is, I track what my calories are, etc. If I've had a long day in the shop and I've worked all day and I'm on my way home and the only thing open is McDonald's, I'm not saying you should do this every single day, obviously, because you have strategy behind it. But if I need to go and I want to go eat some, I don't know, some chicken strips and a sandwich, I can do that, because if I look at my calories and look at my protein, I can hit my protein and I can be under my calories. And I'm not saying it's the best food to ever eat and you shouldn't do it every day, but if I can do that, I can do it, and I can just enjoy the fact that that tasted pretty good. Yeah, it's not the best food in the world, but it tasted good. I didn't go over my calories. We're good to go, right? Whereas if I'm being disciplined, what am I going to go do? I'm going to go order a salad.
Mm-hmm.
A salad from McDonald's is depressing as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
One way of life I'm going to enjoy every single day, every single step for what it is, and I can be the best I can be. For another one, I'm always trying, right, to stay down, to stay below. It's always trying to stay like disciplined. And I think strategy includes discipline. You have the both together, but discipline on its own can be depressing. And that's not a life I want to live. I want to live a life where I feel good, I feel inspired, I feel happy, and I feel in control and empowered. And I think everybody deserves to live a life where they feel empowered. They feel like they're choosing stuff.
Barbers, love to chat with Gems, bro. I don't know if y'all can tell or not, but that man is tapped in. He's snapping. He's hitting y'all with a whole bunch of wisdom. It's music to my ears. I'm loving every moment of it. I know you guys are too. Let us know in the chat. Give us some feedback. And it is just interesting how life is, right? Like how dualistic it is, and how you need both discipline and strategy, and how discipline could be depressing, but discipline is freeing at the same time.
Exactly.
A lot of times it's like, it sounds like you're contradicting, but it's just like, no, it's just like, it's a dichotomy. Like the things are, they both can be true, right? Like
it's all about balance.
Discipline is needed. Yeah.
It's all about balance. And here's the thing. It depends on what kind of person you are, right? Some people will respond better to, if you have a strategy and discipline on like a balance, right? On like a scale. Some people will respond better to be closer to the discipline side. Yeah. Some people will respond better to be closer to the strategy side. Now, they're both doing a very similar thing. And I don't think one works without the other, right? I don't think one works without the other. But you can be anywhere on that spectrum for how you need it to be. Some people wouldn't, like, for example, if some people went the strategy way that I would go with food, for example, some people might fall off the wagon big time. You know what I mean? Some people might like go crazy and start eating really unhealthy.
Big Mac.
That's what I'm saying.
Diet Coke though. Give me the Diet Coke though. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So some people might not be able to do that, and that's fine. But you've got to be able, and that's the thing. It's the awareness, it's the accountability. And I talk about this a lot. Like, to start our mentorship for next year, the first task is a self-assessment. The reason why self-assessment is so important is because the first step to success is just accepting where you are, right? It's accepting where you are, because if you don't accept where you are, you won't know what the next step is. And most people are too scared to admit where they are because they want to seem like they're doing better than they are. But at the end of the day, I'm like, you're communicating to yourself. No one else needs to hear where you are, right? No one else needs to do anything like that. You need to be telling yourself, though, where you are so you can plan the next step. And so a self-assessment is, when you first ever do it, it's a big task, right? It's a lot to think about, a lot to write down. I always like to break it down. You've got to have an idea of what are your dream achievements and what is your dream lifestyle. Now, when I say a dream lifestyle, I mean that because people often think of things they want to achieve, but they don't think of a dream lifestyle. You have to think about what is your dream life, because you need to kind of know where you're aiming for, and because you need to build the building blocks, right? You need to set the right goals, because you have your dreams, and then you set goals to get you to your dreams, and you break your goals down into actions, because the actions achieve the goals. So if I understand that, like, my dream life, because end of the day, freedom is always the destination, right? Freedom is always the destination. That's where we all want to get to. But how we get there, what the dream life is with that freedom, what makes us feel free is different for everybody, right? For some people, all they care about, for them to feel free, all they would need is enough money to have a small family and just have their bills paid. And that's all the money they'll ever need in the world. They don't need anything else. They're not bothered about anything else. And that makes them feel free. To some people, that wouldn't make them feel free. That would make them feel horrible. And they would want to be the person with a multi-million-dollar business, right? And running a huge business. But again, that multi-million-dollar business might make that one person feel free, but to the other person, it would make them feel too anxious, overwhelmed. Exactly.
Yeah.
But because to each person, they're the same level of freedom. It's the same level of success. But the problem is social media only ever shows you the entrepreneur side.
Yeah.
But I want to start stressing to people, whatever your dream life is, whatever it is, plan for it. Don't start planning and doing things that are going to lead you to being an entrepreneur if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, right? Because at the end of the day, like for me personally, a good relationship with fear is going to take me to places that comfort will never take me. For me, I'm the kind of person where, when I said I used to be lazy, right? For me, I'm not lazy. Security makes me lazy, right? If things are too secure for me personally, I get too lazy. I have to have that element of fear. I have to be the builder. I have to be the driver. I have to be leading people for me to have that responsibility. I need that fear level of responsibility for me to feel motivated every day. But for some people, that fear would make them feel overwhelmed. And then that's the difference, right? Freedom as a destination is different for everybody, and you choose what that looks like. And then you need to plan, what does your goals look like? What does your journey look like? Because you got to set what them different destinations are along the way, right? So you can enjoy the journey and enjoy the journey, as we said, but enjoy each destination for what it is. Now, to do that, you got to understand that this journey, you can have a journey of freedom and you can have a journey of security, and they're both so different, but they're both just as fulfilling to the right person, right? Because if you want a journey of freedom, right? Everyone thinks they want to live freedom. If you live with freedom, what you actually live with is the responsibility of every fucking thing in your life. Everything in your life is responsible for you're responsible for it. And if you slip up, everything starts to slip up. You might have a business with 100 employees. If you start doing something wrong, everybody starts not earning as much money, right? So everyone relies on you. Now, to some people, that level of fear is going to be good, keeps them motivated, and they will lead people to freedom, right? So you got to decide, do you want to be someone who leads people to freedom, or do you want to live a life more of security where you can either help someone to lead people to freedom, or just drive the vehicle to freedom, or be a passenger to freedom? It's all of them are okay. Like,
Right.
even I always say, even life as a passenger is fine. Why? Because business owners need the passengers too.
Right.
Wherever you fit into life, whatever is going to give you the most fulfillment, you should be it, but be the best one, right? You don't need to be, not everybody needs to be a builder. Not everyone needs to build businesses. Not everyone needs to be a driver, right? Not everyone needs to be that. Not everyone needs to be a passenger. But if you're going to be a passenger, be the best fucking passenger. If you're going to be a driver, be the best fucking driver. If you're going to be a builder, be the best fucking builder.
I love that, bro. And I think it's so important that you're saying that. And I think it needs to be said more. The fact that it's okay to be the passenger, bro. It's okay to not be the boss, the CEO. That's okay, because we are in a time, bro, where it is so many of the cliche sayings of, you know, if you're not building your own dreams, you're building somebody else's, and you know why you're making somebody else rich, or you can make yourself rich. And those sayings are true in context, right? Like, there is truth to it.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's like, not everybody is like you were saying. You gotta have the workers, the employees, in order to have the bosses. It's all a part of the ecosystem, and we're all different in our own way. So with that being said, I know Josh about to snap, but guys, just understand, if you're not an entrepreneur, it's okay to not be an entrepreneur.
Okay. It's completely okay, because here's the thing, and it's like, you've got to build a life towards your dreams, right? If your biggest dream in the whole world is to just have a small family and raise a child and do that, trying to be an entrepreneur at the same time is actually going against your dream.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't do both. And like, I want to be
miserable.
Exactly. I want to be the best that I can be, but I'm also waiting for the right, it's never going to be the right time, but we discussed it just before we went on. I'm trying to wait till more of the time and have more free time to be that. Right. But to some people, like, that's part of my dream is being a dad, right? Having a family, but also part of my dream is being an entrepreneur. That's what I want as my dream. So for me to chase this is part of my dream. It's part of who I am. I'm a builder, and I've always been a builder, right? And as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, you are a builder, driver, and passenger at times, but eventually you are the builder and you hire the drivers. So at first you hire the drivers, then you hire the passengers, etc. But that's part of my dream. So it fulfills me. But if your only real dream is to have a small family and raise that, you're actually going against your dream if you're trying to be an entrepreneur. You've got to think about what's going to allow you to be fulfilled.
Part of me is like, I wish in another dimension, another world, I was just more of just straight up, I just want to be an employee, not a CEO, not an entrepreneur, because I would love to be that guy to like spread that message in a way like, yo, it is truly okay to not be this this hustle, grind, got all this stuff going on, building all. It's okay. It's not for everybody. It's how I operate, how you operate. But there are a lot of people that be miserable doing what we do, bro.
Because as we said, you want to be the most, you want to be the gas station, right? You want to be the gas station. You can give energy to your world. Now, as an entrepreneur, you're accepting that your world is absolutely fucking huge. Do you know what I mean? You're accepting that you're giving energy to so many people. But if your dream life is a family life, I'm not saying that's not part of my dream. It is. And when I get to that, I want to have the most energy for my family, and priorities will change a little bit then, obviously. But right now I don't have a family. So my priorities are my wife and then giving to my world. Yeah. But if your main dream, your main priority is just having a family, if you're an entrepreneur, how are you going to have the energy to give to your dream? Because your dream wasn't the entrepreneur. Your dream was the family. So you need to make sure you have the energy to give to what your dream was. And I think that's the key. It's getting barbers and getting people to actually just have some awareness of what is your real dream, right? What is the real destination you want to get to? What is the real point of you being here, and what do you want to do? Because we're all getting caught up into this hustle culture. And for some people, it's the right thing. But for some people, it's not. And here's the thing, right? For me, in opening the barbershop, for example, right? If I was going to open a barbershop now, like a new one, if we were to go and we were going to open an OP45 barbershop, right? Do we want every single person in that barbershop to want to be doing exactly what I do? No. Right. Do I want one person maybe?
Work, bro. It's like having a whole basketball team of centers. Like, it's not going to work.
Maybe one person at a push. But here's the thing. Because what do businesses need? They need the reliability of the people who just want to work behind the chair. And they can be self-employed in regards to do a booth rent. But I mean, like, that's what their goals are. Their goals are to come in, make their money, make as much money as they can, be hardworking while they're at work, and then go and enjoy their family time.
Yeah, facts.
Right? You don't need everybody. Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I try to preach to people. It's like, whatever the dream is, chase that. But don't get caught up into chasing everyone else's dreams, because that's what's going to lead you to not only not being fulfilled, but literally the opposite. Because the worst mistake human beings can make is working so hard for something and they're not even feeling good at the end. Because not only will you feel like you didn't achieve, you will actually feel like you're doing the opposite, right? And you're actually declining and you're actually failing. It's not because you failed. You actually probably achieved the thing you were supposed to, but you didn't feel good at the end of it. And then that's when you start to feel lost as a human being. And that's where that connection to purpose is so important. And that's why the self-assessment is huge, because you do a self-assessment, you do a whole thing, you paint the full picture, you break your dreams, goals, actions. So then every single day, right, you look down your action list that you planned and just pick your top 3 priorities. Every week, you just review the action list. Every month, you review the short-term goals. Every 6 months, you review the medium-term goals. And every year, you review the long-term goals. And our team, I know Scott's on this call, on the watching this. Scott can tell you, Scott came to the UK at the start of the year when I lived in the UK still. And our team, we all did a self-assessment together. We did a goal-setting thing together. We practice what we preach, because it's the only real way to keep yourself accountable to who you want it to be. And like on the self-assessment that I give people is a case of like, you're looking and say, like, if you were to go and be accountable to yourself now and say, right, what were my goals 5 years ago? What were my goals 5 years ago? And how did I do? And just be honest. And then, because in some areas of your life, you'll go, holy fuck, I did that and more. I did way more than I thought I was going to. That's so cool. And in some areas of your life, you'll say, man, I didn't do that. Why was it? Was it because priorities changed, or was it because I did something like I did wrong or whatever? Like, did I actually make a mistake there? And you can learn from it. Again, one of the biggest problems humans have is they get too scared to think in their own mind about themselves. And if you're too scared to think about yourself, you're never, ever going to harness your true power. And like my mission from the very start, and our literal mission statement, is to help every person that we meet to see, feel, and harness their own value. Like with my education, with our education, I make it precedent to all our team too. Like, we don't, in a nice way, I don't care. I could not care less if you connect to me. I want you to connect to yourself more, because that's all that matters. The only reason you should learn anything, is to understand how to be a better version of you. You shouldn't learn how to do the DFS formula to be like CJ or be like Sean or be like Peter. You should go and learn the DFS formula to see how much you can make what you do even better. And that's the biggest problem people have. They're always looking at somewhere else. They're always studying someone else rather than looking here, right? You can learn more from yourself than anybody else.
Happens because there is that that idea that when you're thinking about yourself, you're being selfish, right? So like people can fall into that trap and just misinterpret what people mean when they're talking about being selfish. So it's like, you know, I can't just always think about myself all the time. But selfish is it's not what you're describing is not selfish. Selfish is when you're not allowing other people to be them. That's when it's selfish. When you're not letting other people to be themselves, and you're trying to control so many other people. That's
well. Here's the thing.
Focusing on you is not selfish. It's actually which we all need to do.
There's a big difference between wanting it all and wanting all of it. Right? There's a big difference between wanting it all and wanting all of it. Like for me, as a business, we want it all, right? We want to be able to build and be the best version of us that we could ever be. But I want to be able to share all of it with you and with everybody. I don't want all of it, but I want it all.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how everyone should be.
You want all the food in the building, but so you can have all the food to be able to give it out to everybody else.
Exactly. Like we want to be able to help as many people as we can. And I feel like that's what everyone should run their life by, is wanting to be able to give as much as possible, right? And I like that comment. Whatever that comment was good.
Yeah, I had to share because I want to speak on that, because it says the fact that almost every week these conversations turn towards quality of your life, happiness, purpose, and so on speaks to us as humans, but also artists and creatives. That's longing, and that's part of my mission, bro.
Yeah,
that's why this is Gem Talk. That's why I'm very strategic and intentional with the conversations I'm having on here, bro, because this is what it's about. So many of us fall into this trap of only thinking in that box of barber that we just overlook or forget about all these other identities that we have and all these other, parts of ourselves. We're just so wrapped up in barber. It's like, bro, we are humans having a human experience that is challenging and complicated. And we got to discuss more than just, so what clippers should I get, bro? You know what I'm saying? So I love that you guys feel that from this conversation, because that's why I rebranded it, changed it to Gem Talk from just the Barbers podcast, and that's why you see me make an impact, bro. At the end of the day, the purpose is a lot bigger than this little box that we've been trapped in.
This is what I love, and the mindset I've always been on. Like anybody who's watching who came to the perspective tour that we had, like a lot of people don't even know that this year that we're doing is the 6th time I've done the perspective tour. It's like my 7th tour of the US. So I've been touring the US for a long time, and the very beginning when I first started teaching, we started doing the perspective tour, and that was the first named tour that I did or anything like that. It's the only named tour I've ever done, and the reason why I did it was because I really wanted to help barbers to change their perspective of themselves, right? And that was the biggest thing. The catchphrase, if you want to call it that, at that time was, to enhance your relationship with barbering, you have to first enhance your relationship with yourself. And I think it's so true. Like to get good at anything, you have to first be able to be good within yourself and be happy within yourself and be comfortable with being uncomfortable, as we said, right? And understand how your mind works, understand what your mind needs to feel good. And when it comes to studying yourself, you've got to understand, because one thing I practice a lot and I always advise a lot is self-study. And I don't mean self-study like just learning on your own. I mean literally studying yourself. Yeah. Like for anyone who's taken our education 4 or 5 years ago and then takes it now, we'll see a huge difference, right? I never went to school. So I never went to school. I've never attended a haircutting class in my life, right? I've never attended a haircutting class in my life. My biggest teacher is people who are watching this, is my students, is our students who we've taught. Why? Because I never went to school, so I didn't know what the fuck graduation was and elevation was. I was doing my shit, and then someone would say, so you're doing graduation there? And I'd be like, yeah, that is graduating from this down into this. So that makes sense. Yeah, cool. So I understand what that term means now. So I would spend so long, because I would spend so long going back and studying everything and writing it down and making it into a curriculum and learning and studying myself. But here's the thing. I always and only ever studied me. I looked at my own haircuts, and I picked up, and I've always developed the curriculum based off of what questions people ask, how they respond, right? What their eyes are telling me, right? Are their eyes lighting up? Are they getting confused, right? How do they understand things? That's how I'm always trying to be better and develop, is based on everyone's reaction to me. One of the biggest avoidance techniques that people like to use is telling themselves that negative opinions they don't need to listen to.
Yeah,
if you tell yourself you don't need to listen to negative opinions, don't expect yourself to grow as much as you can.
Look for the truth in it, if anything.
Exactly. So what I always do is I filter negative opinions. And so what I'll do is, let's say, for example, it doesn't happen very often, but let's say, for example, I got a troll online. first thing to do is look at the negative reaction, the negative opinion, and decide, does it have validity to it? And I don't mean like, do I agree? I mean, like, is there potential that someone could have thought this genuinely, or is it some guy or some girl trying to just throw shade? You know what I mean?
If you post a picture of your haircut, right, and let's say Harvey Marv's lineup, and the one side is lower and the other side is higher, and somebody comments and says, the one side's lower than the other, right? Is there truth to it? Do we need to harp on it and argue and get all worked up? No, but look to see, is there truth? Like, and maybe it is low.
Exactly, because here's the thing: you can't just avoid your own failures. But you also need to celebrate. Like, you can't just celebrate the wins. Sorry. Yeah. So here's one big thing too. Like, you see a lot of people when they fail, they know that they need to kind of learn from it, and they try to learn from it. Right? When they can see that they failed, when someone else tells them that they fail, they avoid it and say it's just someone being negative. But here's the thing: opinions are feedback. That's what opinions are. Good and bad opinions are feedback. I need to use the feedback, filter it, and learn from it. Yeah. So any negative opinions, I will genuinely, and I've done it in the past, I will reach out to people. If I think they have validity, I will literally reach out to them and discuss why they think that, what led them to that thought. Because then I can try to be better, or I can actually try to shed some light to actually change their perspective so that they understand what I was doing. Like, a big one is when people say to me, like, how is he going to style it like that at home? Like, obviously, he's not going to style it like that at home. I would not ever expect someone to style it like that at home. The whole point was I wanted to invest some time in myself, experiment my styling, style it more extravagantly. When he left, I just slicked it back down for him. He left happy. Everyone's good. And I can shed some light and educate them on what actually happened. So then their negative opinion is then corrected. But it could also be something that has validity to it. So I can learn a bit. You know what? I didn't see that myself and where I'm coming from and the type of person I am. But if I want to help as many people as I can, I need to understand the perspectives of as many people as I can. And I need to understand that some people will think that if I do this. So I need to understand either how I can explain it so that they understand, or how I can do it so that actually it's better for them too. And then positive opinions and winning and doing well, don't just fucking go and celebrate and go out and drink beers and be partying thinking you've made it. Study it. Whatever it is, fail or win, study it. Look at it. If it's a picture of a haircut or it's a video of a haircut, if it's a good haircut or a bad haircut, get a quick picture of it, just for your own purposes to study. It doesn't need to go online. Just take a picture of it and then look. And if you do this for half your haircuts, where you can look at it and go, right, what is 5 things that I like? What is 5 things that I don't like? Write them down. Why do I think that? Why do I like it? Why don't I like it? Write them down. Why do I think that? Why do I think this? Write them down. How can I do it next time better? Write it down. Write it down. So then you've built yourself an action plan for when that guy comes in next, or that girl comes in next. You can sit and you can go, right, cool. Last time they came in, I did this. I like this and this and this, but now I want to focus on this. So here we go. Let's go. And then you've already trained yourself in your head of what you're going to do. Because again,
fire, bro.
Your time to practice, like when it comes to cutting hair, if you only think about practicing cutting hair when you're physically cutting hair, it's gonna be very hard. Because when you're physically cutting hair, that's the least clear that you will be. Because you can't think that clearly. You can't try anything new. You can only do what you think you can do. So if you spend more time rehearsing it in your head and think about what you want to do next time, when it comes in front of you, you can do even more.
Barbers, flood the chat with gems. I love that. That whole idea of looking at it, writing 5 things you like, 5 things you don't like. Bro, that is such a gem. I've learned so much from studying my own stuff as well, right? Like, that's what I always tell people, that I work with in the course and even outside my social media course. Capturing content goes beyond just you trying to put together content to post online.
Yeah.
If you capture your content to study as a reference point, to learn, bro, the people that are taking pictures and videos and all of that other stuff, they're putting themselves in a position to learn so much quicker because now they have that to look at and study. And like you said,
here's the thing.
Notes for.
Like, this is a tool to make every single moment you live monetizable, right? Because you can either capture it so you can post it and it's going to be good marketing, or you can capture it so you can learn from it to give a better service to eventually raise your prices. But either way, this is a tool to make every single moment you live monetizable. And that's the thing. Remember, we said about the 5 areas of your life and trying to give fulfillment to all of them. You want to figure out, how can I give as much fulfillment to all these 5 areas? And this is the thing. don't think about time. People talk about how much time they've spent studying. People talk about how much time they spend reading, how much time they spend with their partners, how much time they do everything. But at the end of the day, time you never get back. Every single day we spend time and we never get it back. Moments last forever. Moments is what we remember. So if you can capture your moments and keep them and make them monetizable beyond that moment, then you're going to set yourself up to win in life, because you're not only, it doesn't have to be where you literally earn money from it. It's a case of, are you growing your potential so you can earn more money from it? And that's all it's going to be. It's about monetizing those moments beyond that moment.
I love it. And just to go back to, because you just been snapping, it's been a free fall. You're like, but I love the insight that you shared of how you basically turned your whole life and your whole world into a class. Like you said, you haven't attended a haircutting class, but every day of your life, every moment, it is a class, right? Like, so it's, whereas so many of us will wait. Okay, I got this class coming up next month, or can't wait to go to this barber event next year to go to some of these classes. What you did was said, you know what? Like, I'm going to take every moment of my life and try to learn from every moment of my life. Life basically is school, and it's helped 100%. You grow and learn so much quicker.
At the end of the day, every single
I have, by the way, too. I love that.
Every single moment that we live, right? Every single moment that we live is a lesson, right? Some, they teach you who you want to be. Some teach you what you don't want to be. But every single moment we live is a lesson. And if you can start to think of life like that, you're going to be what? More present, more conscious. Like, conscious cutting is something people always talk about when they're doing education, right? We want to be conscious cutting. How about we start talking more about conscious living? Right? Be more conscious of what gives you energy is one, because put it in your bank. If something gives you energy, put it in your bank. Like one of the big examples I tell people about is movies, right? Everybody has movies where you put it on, and within 10 minutes, you start remembering all the shit you need to do when you start doing it, right? Keep that in mind and put that on again. Be conscious of it. Everyone has music that they start listening to and they forget to listen to the rest of the song because they start doing shit, right? Be conscious of it, right? I have a whole collection of movies that I never actually watch, but I put on all the time. I put them on all the time because within 5-10 minutes, it either makes me feel nostalgic or it makes me feel inspired and want to be better, do whatever. But either way, it makes me remember to do my shit. Put them on 10 minutes in, be a TV show, a movie, whatever, and I'll start working, and I know I will. Another good one is like your surroundings and your environment. I always know that
that's huge, bro. That is huge.
If I'm at home, right, I'll find it hard to be super productive, right? I can be productive, but I find it hard to because I'm at home. If I am out in public, and I've always said this, if I'm in a coffee shop, for example, I will work so much better. But if I'm in the office, if I go to my office,
my car, where I've been yelling at people for years, put me in my car, bro. That's my. Oh, I'm telling you,
God. find your motivation place. Like, if I go to, everyone would think go to the office. Then, if I go to the office and other people are there, I will be the least productive there. Not because I won't be talking about good stuff, not because I won't be motivating. I'll be good for everyone else because I'll be motivating them. I'll be inspiring them. But my brain starts to go crazy, right?
Yeah.
So if I want to get shit done, I always know a coffee shop is a good one for me. Go to Starbucks, right? Order a coffee and just sit there an hour, and I'll probably do more work in an hour than I would have done in 10 hours at home. And these are the kind of things to control, right? It's all about understanding, controlling what situations to put yourself in, understanding what network you need, right? And again, it's not about what network you need for ego. It's about what network you need to boost and benefit your world and what you're doing.
Yeah,
exactly. And so that's the thing. If you want to reach out to people, you want to ask the questions, you want to offer your services to them. One of the biggest things that I find that people don't like to do on social media, though, is do the reaching out. The reason that they don't like it is because when you're typing it out, you feel like emotionally connected to the words you're typing. So what I always advise people to do is copy and paste it, put it in your notes, leave it for 2 days, and then send it straight from your notes as a copy and paste. The reason being, because you're not typing it out and you're not writing it, you don't feel like you're doing it. Now, if you set yourself, remember we had them 5 things that I was doing. If I set myself, the first thing in the morning is to send all my messages, do all my networking. At night is my replying time, right? So if that's my replying time, even if these people message me back during the day, don't look at it. Don't even look at it. Do it when you're doing it for work, right? Schedule social media like you would schedule work. Because then you're going to think about it as work, you're going to treat it as work, and you're going to do it as work. Because that's what it is. Social media really to us now should be work, because what you got to think about is social media is the first layer of service. No matter what your service is, your social media, if your page on social media is a business page, your social media is the first layer of service, because your service to your customers begins the moment they see your company, the moment they see your logo, they drive past your business, right? Because you need, part of your service is, how does your signage look? What do your logos look like? What's the energy that you get when you see these logos, when you see the signage, when you see the shop, when you see the social media posts? So my social media posts, your social media, everyone's social media posts are the first layer of service, because that's the first thing that a lot of new prospective customers could see, right?
Yeah.
So
And it's a
I want
part
to
of
make
our
sure
actual identity as well as people.
Exactly. And so
extension.
it's got to reflect your mission. And one of the biggest things that I see the barbers don't do, because they think it's only for corporate companies, is write mission statements, write up their visions, right? Note down their core values. These are the key things that we need to start doing, because at the end of the day, if you want to be professional, you got to act professional. If you want to be corporate, you got to act corporate. So set yourself a mission statement, because if you have a mission statement, you know what your mission statement is. Every single thing that you do should run alongside that. Everything you do should be on mission, right? If it's not on mission, you shouldn't be doing it. And I mean, like places you work, people you hire, companies you work with, people you work with, what you post, like everything about you, everything about your business should be on mission. I think that's super important for barbers to get a handle on.
I love it. Barber, so we're almost 2 hours deep already. Yo, we're moving out here. I seen a bunch of people, well, not even a bunch, but we've had a handful of people ask some questions. So what I want to do next is I want you guys to drop questions in the chat, and I'm gonna put them in the folder. And me and Josh are gonna do rapid fire answer to the question. Shout out to my brother Shuey, came through with the $4.99 super chat. You know what? We'll answer this one while you guys are asking some other questions. He says, how do you handle energy vampires that are coworkers, or coworker always saying things under their breath or killing your energy? It can get tiring. What are your thoughts on that?
So
Appreciate you, Shuey.
yeah, it's a good question. So I've been there, right? I've been there, I've done that, and I have actually a very interesting story about something like that. Now, the first thing that I always used to say and still say is, anyone who ever doubted me motivated me beyond belief. Motivated me beyond belief to prove why I was doing it, right? To prove my reason why, because I'm doing this not for them. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing everything I'm doing for me and my world, so I can give as much as I can to my world. And because I know the path that I'm on. It's hard, it's difficult, because you got people here who are trying to hold you back, trying to drag you back. Now, if you can remove yourself from them situations, do it. If you can do the stuff that you need to do extracurricular away from them, do it. But more than anything, see it as motivation, because he or she, whoever it is, clearly sees something threatening and within themselves, in regarding that if you get to this point, you're going to be somewhere that they would love to be, but they don't want to put the work in to get there, right? Now, the interesting story behind this is that when we threw our first award show in the UK, I actually had a guy who I worked with in the shop at one point. He attended the show, right? And he said to me, he was like, I wanted to apologize to you. I was like, what do you mean you want to apologize to me? He was like, way back when, he was like, I was one of them and I was talking shit about you. I was like, every time you would do anything, I was like, you were crazy. I don't know why you're doing this. We were all talking shit about you. And it's like, and I want to apologize because you did everything you said you were going to do. So to me, I would always say, use it as the biggest motivation you could, and just do everything you said you're going to do. Because if you don't do it, they win. If someone's trying to hold you back and you don't do it, they win. So use it.
Barbers. I love that. And at the end of the day, man, it's, hurt people, right? Happy people ain't out here trying to hurt people.
Exactly.
Miserable people are trying to make people miserable. Happy people ain't trying to make people miserable. So it's
key will be,
just, these people, somebody also said earlier, they're at a toxic shop, and it's like, it's people just reflecting, themselves onto you. If anything, you got to learn to have compassion to a degree. A lot of times, it's like, damn, they clearly don't feel good about themselves if they're doing everything in their power to try to make us feel bad. It's kind of
because they're worried. They're worried that if you get to where you want to get, that they're going to feel inferior, and I think that's the biggest one. So definitely just use it. Not to prove, you don't want to say you want to prove them wrong. You want to more so say you want to prove.
Yeah, you do. You want to do both.
I would say
you want to do both.
The way that I would phrase it is, you want to prove yourself right.
Yeah,
that's how I would phrase it.
Prove yourself right. Fact.
Prove yourself right.
I love it. All right, cool. Let's try to rapid fire answer some of these as well. Let's see what else they got. What key lessons or insights have you gained from your extensive experience? Oh, they coming through with the big words that you wish you knew when you were just starting out, like a beginner, like myself.
Okay, so do you know what? My honest opinion to this is my biggest strength when I started was my naivety.
Mm.
My biggest strength was my naivety. Now that I've got a bit more experience, I would always say now I would try to implement strategy as soon as possible, as early as possible. And when I say strategy, I mean something that, as we said, that you can do, that you can plan for, that you can actually achieve, and you can see as digestible chunks for you to do day in, day out. So that will be the key for me, is to try to it's trial and error obviously at first, but try to see if what kind of plans you'll stick to and how you can do it. But most importantly is just learning the delegation of time, right? And the investment cycle. Time and energy buys money, and you use money to buy time and energy. So at the very start, the biggest advice I could get is commit to invest in the time and energy. It's something that I did subconsciously, but if I had someone to help me guide me through that, that's what I would have loved at the very start if I could have had it. But again, I think the naivety at the start was part of the reason we got to where we got, because if I'd have taken classes at the start, for example, and if I had had less naivety, I wouldn't have ever come up with a process that was different. I would never have made up a process of cutting hair. So I have to thank that. But at the same point, I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like when I first started teaching, for example, I didn't know what I was doing. Like I didn't know how to teach. I didn't know any of that. But at the same point, do things before you're ready, because if you wait until you're ready, someone else has beat you to it 100%.
Yep. And I want to add on to that, because there's something I really want to say to you. I'm feeling called to say, and it's something I wish I knew earlier in life. Like you mentioned earlier, you got to like psychoanalyze and learn yourself, right? And I think we're given so many amazing tools as humans, but we just don't really know how to use them. And I think the best tool that we have is the ability to be able to look in the future and look in the past, right? So most of us, we use it wrong. We look in the past and we just focus on all the things that we did wrong, the things that we regret, and all of these things that don't make us feel good. And then we look in the future and we focus on all of these things that we're scared of, things that can go wrong, and all the things that can hinder us. Whereas a better use of these tools of being able to look in the future and the past is, number one, look in the past to see what wisdom you can gain from what you went through in the past, and then take that to your present so that you can be better, and look into the future to look to see the person you want to become, right? Like we talked about some of the things you want to do, the type of person you want to be. Look to the future to figure out what those things are, and then learn what you need to do in the future and bring it back to the present and start doing those things. It's the insight of saying, what would the person I want to become, what would they do today? Right? If I was the person that I see myself being 10 years from now, 15 years from now in the future, what would I be doing today, and do those things? So I say all that because, you know, with that question, or what's some key insights that you've gained, you know, I personally wish I would have known how to use my mind better. You know, obviously, like you said, using it the way I used it back then created me now. So you don't regret it, right? It shaped me. But knowing what I know now, I use your mind and use that tool in the way that it was given to us to be used, instead of using it to just scare the hell out of ourselves and worry ourselves and stop us from making no moves.
100%. It's all about like the elimination of comparison. And like what you're basically saying as well is the only comparison you should be doing is comparing to your old self and to your new self. And that's the only thing. Like compare who you are. And like, all of it is to fuel today, and that's all you can do.
They say, what is it? They say there's two people in your life that you need to do your best to make proud. That's the 8-year-old version of yourself and the 80-year-old version of yourself.
I agree.
You know, right?
Because the end of the day, like as we said just before we came on, everybody most people are striving to be perfect. Most people are waiting till they feel good enough. Now, the brutal answer is you're never going to be good enough.
Facts.
For yourself. You're never going to feel like you're good enough.
Especially if you're ambitious and hungry and always wanting more, you'll never get there.
But all you can ever do is your best, right? I actually posted about this not long ago, right? I'm going to get the post up if I can. But I posted about this not long ago because I was basically saying like that I've never strived to be my best. If you look at year one of the online academy, production value, the value we gave in terms of information, great. Production value wasn't that good, right? But I didn't care because I wasn't trying to make it the best production value ever. I was trying to give the best that I had at the time, right? And everything I've ever done, I'm trying to give the best that I have at any given time. All I can ever do is give you the best I can be right now. I can't give you anything other than that. This is the post, right? So this was, if anyone was watching, this is when I first started doing online education, right? This is a Zoom class I was doing, and it was a good 5-6 years ago, right? Before the online academy. But that allowed me to build up towards the online academy. That allowed me to get bigger. And we had like a progression of like when I first started filming it, and then it started progressing. We started moving to the academy, and we got a custom built studio, and we built that. Like, but if I'd have waited for this to even start doing online education, I would still be waiting. If I'd have waited to be good enough, what I would have ended up doing is I'd still be in that chop shop. If I waited to be good enough, I'd still be in the chop shop. There's no way I would get any further than that because I'm holding myself back in an expectation of trying to get to perfection. But you're never going to get to perfection. You're never going to be as good as you want to be. So how about we just give what we can? And that's, I think, all you can ever do. Give the best you've got, because people can also relate to it. As we said earlier, people relate to seeing a progression, right? To seeing a journey and a growth and seeing different destinations being hit. If you go on my Instagram, you can scroll all the way down. You can still see my first ever haircut, right? I don't want to build this idea of a perfect image and like delete all my posts and start a new image and start fresh and have this perfect, pristine view of my haircutting. I don't want it to be like that, because the people who are watching, the people who are here, the students, the real life people relate to the journey. They relate to seeing the progression. They relate to seeing you hit destinations, and they can celebrate it with you. I've said that from the very beginning. Every single one of you is on the journey with me, on the journey with us, because if we do that, we grow together. If otherwise you seem like, but I actually put this on Threads not long ago, and it was related to haircutting, but when it comes to like life in general, I also agree that most people are like this. And I put that most people are happy for it to seem difficult, because if it seems difficult and it seems perfect, then they're going to applaud you for being capable of it. But in reality, if you actually want to help people, you need to show them how easy it is and how normal it can be, because then they themselves will feel like they might be capable. So like for me, if I share that post about what my online education used to look like, what my logos used to look like, people might not necessarily feel like, man, my logo right now I'm not that happy with, but fuck, it's better than what Josh was doing 5 years ago. And that's a good comparison, right? Because people are always waiting to be to that level where everything is perfect and pristine. Our marketing for the 3 years before the last couple was absolutely terrible. But if we waited for perfect marketing and got a marketer in place, everything feels sterile, right? You want to have that sort of like relatability to the people. And I think that's really important for everyone to feel confident in just giving their best rather than the perfection.
Yeah, no, I love that, bro. I absolutely love that. And it's the mindset of always giving your best that is so important, because you're gonna get better. You know, so if you're half-assing stuff, it's gonna take you longer to get better than if you're always giving your best. You know, so I think that was a crucial point. And I wanted to actually read something to you guys. I don't know if you've read it. I don't know if you're a reader like that, but there's a book called The 4 Agreements, and it's a phenomenal book. And I'll give you guys a short version of it. So I'd still recommend reading it because it's a lot more in depth. It's awesome. But one of the 4 agreements is always do your best. And it says your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. Another one of the 4 agreements is be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Another agreement is don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. And then the 4th agreement is don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. All right, so it's heat, bro. The whole book is fire. That's but just good. Remember, guys, be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personal. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. I feel like that, just that type of thinking and mindset, guys, will change your life. And read the book.
100%. 100%.
Barber.
I fully agree.
I know you like. I know you like that.
That was good. I like that one.
So let's see what some other questions we got. Danny G, I love you too. This is my younger cousin. Man, I could really go in on how proud of him I am. Shoot the Beard King too. He works with me. That's my brother too. I love you guys. Let's see. Let's see. What are the best mental habits to carry along your journey to the top?
Okay, so for me, one of the ways I like to live my life is I like to, and this goes into the whole idea of having every day as a lesson and every moment as a lesson, is that I like to always think of life like no matter who you are, right? I don't care whether it's a billionaire or a homeless person, you're better than me at something. You are better than me at something, so I know I can learn from you. But also, I don't care if you're a billionaire or a homeless person, I'm better than you at something too. So it's all about knowing and having in every room you go into, having the confidence to know that you bring value to that room, but the humility to know that everybody else brings equal value to it too. And I think that's a really good way for me to live life because it allows me to be able to be confident to bring my energy to the world so people see and respect who I want to become and hopefully appreciate the value that I'm trying to bring. But also, as you said, the humility to know that I'm learning from every single person. I couldn't care less if you were literally a homeless person or a billionaire. I really couldn't care less. I know that you can beat me at something and you're better than me at something. And that's the way the world is. And that's the beauty of the world. Like being different is the most beautiful thing we have in common, right? And every single person on earth can teach you something. Never, ever feel like you're better or worse than anyone else. That's the key, right? You're not better than anyone else, but you're also not worse than them too. Every single person on planet earth brings an equal amount of value to the world because everyone is fulfilling it in a different way. As we said, like some people's dreams is having families, right? And some people's dreams is having big businesses. But at the end of the day, the businessman and the entrepreneur bring equal value to the business by the end of it because they both play a function in there. Without it, the business wouldn't be doing as well. So every single person is bringing equal value, in my opinion. That's I don't know whether that goes into a mental habit, but that to me, at the moment you said that, that's what I got inspired to say because I thought of that as that's the way that I think about life, and that's the way that I like to think about life because it helps me to build habits with how I treat people.
I love that. Barbers, when starting off, should a beginner barber focus on efficiency and speed or quality or incorporating both at the same time?
Both at different times.
So
what
do you explain?
So as you said, like at least at the start, at least once or twice a week. Like I used to cut hair, and it depends also in what scenario you're in. Are you in a barber shop that's giving you chance to practice? It's giving you time. That's allowing you to do so. If you are, use it and work on quality initially at the start, if that's the environment you're in. But if you're in what most barbershops will be, which is like if you're cutting on the floor, they want you to be cutting more in the shop time. And then you can have a chance to practice afterwards. That's what I'm saying, do both. If you're in the shop and you're trying to do it, what I often say is one of the best things to learn is learning how to let go of a haircut, right? Learning how to let go of a haircut, give it the best that you can do in the time frame, but not running too far over, and learning to let go, take a picture of it, learn all the lessons you can is going to be great, right? Especially if you're in the right environment, because in worst cases, someone can help you come over, quick scissor over comb, job done, guy can leave happy, and you can learn the lessons you need to learn. And then if you want to when you want to focus purely on quality, that's when you do them on your own. So I used to cut hair. We had a barber station at home, and I used to cut hair every single night when I was working in the chop shop. Every single night after work. If you go right down to the bottom of my Instagram, you'll see a brick wall behind almost every client.
Scroll down your page. Yeah. I can't wait. Later.
But on that brick wall was at my parents' house because I would do all my haircuts that I wanted to get good at, and I wanted to do really good haircuts and do quality. I would do them at home on my own time or my last appointment of the day. So I would have some times where I focused on pure quality, and then I would also have some times where I wanted to make sure I was learning to get up to speed, because you do have to do that to be a functioning part of that barbershop. So I would definitely say both. But if you're in an environment where they're giving you as a trainee hour-long appointments, use it because they're giving it to you. But you don't want to get caught into the habit of only ever being able to take an hour for a haircut at the same point. So I think you kind of need to always have that balance.
I love that. And one of the key things you said is letting go of a haircut. And I love this comment. Learning how to let go of a haircut is one of the hardest things, because it don't get talked about enough, bro. Knowing when to be done with a haircut don't get talked about enough. It's so hard to know when to be done, bro. You know?
And I honestly think one of the best pieces of advice I could ever give is the haircuts that you want to take pictures of the least, they're the ones you've got to take them the most. If you the haircuts that you can't wait to get it out the chair, the haircuts that you're sweating, you're thinking, oh fuck, I can't wait till this guy leaves because I'm so done with his haircut. Everything's gone to everything's gone wrong. It's a mess. That's the haircut that's the most important. You take a photo of it because you want to look back at it at the end of the day. Right? Don't stress about it straight after you've done the haircut because it will mess you up your brain for the next one. But look at it at the end of the day because I guarantee you, A, it wasn't as bad as you thought it was, and B, the mistakes you can then learn from. Right? You can learn why did it go wrong. You can you like, 5 that you don't like, analyze it, plan for next time. But those are the most important to take a photo of. But I agree. Learning how to let go of a haircut is one of the hardest things to do, and it's one of the biggest lessons to learn. But it all goes down to time. If you are a 30-minute appointment kind of barber and you're starting to creep to 35, 40 minutes, it's going to be time to look at wrapping it up and letting it go.
Yeah, facts.
If you're
doing the best you can, you did the best you can in the 35 minutes.
Exactly.
Be okay with that.
Exactly. And as long as, obviously, it depends on what you're talking about, because if you're just starting up, then it might be the case of like learning to let go is also part of learning to, if you needed to, maybe have someone help or something in that kind of scenario. But it depends on where you are. Because again, when I was first learning, I was in a chop shop. Like nearly every customer I had who would come to me as fresh had their crown taken off. So I was only blending into 0 crown. So it was hard. I was lucky in that sense that, if anything, I was fixing haircuts a lot of the time. Whereas I know a lot of times some people will feel like they don't want to ask people to help them fix the haircut. But when I owned a shop and I was bringing through trainees, that's what I used to do. I used to make them feel as comfortable as possible to be like, if you need to let go of a haircut, let me know, because I can come over and within a couple of minutes, I'll probably have it fixed up, ready to go. The customer's still going to be happy. They know, they're aware you're learning, and we move from there and we learn and grow. So I think it's always about that communication with everyone around you too. Like if you're at a stage where you still might need help to finish up, like if your idea of letting go of a haircut is because maybe it genuinely is kind of like fucked up, and that's fine because everyone fucks up haircuts. But or if you're past that and your idea of needing to let it go is where it doesn't quite look as good as you want it, but it still looks good enough for the customer, then it's different, right? Then you don't have to get anyone else involved. But I think for beginners who are listening, it's important to be comfortable with that.
I love that. And I would add to that, again, it goes back to knowing what the customer wants and values. What the customer wants and values is more important than what we think or what other barbers think, right? It's all about the customer. So at the end of the day, you know, there are going to be a lot of scenarios where the customer is going to value having that good haircut and being out the chair in 30 minutes over you sitting there nitpicking for an extra 30 minutes, and now they're running late to pick up their kids, or they're arguing with their wife, and when they look in the mirror, don't look no different than it did when you was doing it 30 minutes ago.
Well, the biggest thing I say to barbers is that, like, this is why as well, when I cut hair, I always, when it was for customers especially, but when I'm teaching, I do the same thing. I refine as I go, right? I will nitpick as I go, so that the customer doesn't like have that thing where, at the end of the day, if you fade and then you refine afterwards, which is what most barbers will do, the customer thinks it's done before you start refining. Right. So in the customer's eyes, it's finished, and then you keep rubbing over the same bits again. Now, I know you're making it better. You know you're making it better. They don't know you're making it better. So what I always do is,
what the hell are you doing?
I will refine as I go. So I'll fade around the head. So like at the end, I'll have faded and completed everything except for maybe this first little bit here. But he's not gonna want to leave because he's still got a line around his head. He knows he's not finished. When I flick this up, I refine this bit. Whole haircut's refined. I haven't got to keep in their eyes rubbing over the same parts. So I think that's also important to think about when you are refining. Is like, are you doing it all at the end? Because that's when the customer's going to start clock watching, right? Yeah. But if you're doing it as you go, you've got a lot more. You got a lot more leeway with that.
I love sharing. Try to share a story of back in the day where one of my barbers was really struggling to like take out a line, and I seen him over there and he was stressing. And so I'm like, bro, what's going on? And he's like, I can't get this line out. I'm like, all right, you want me to show you how to do it? He's like, yeah, come help me real quick. So I'm like, all right, I got you. So I went over, and we needed like the one guard closed to take the line out. I put the 2 on, and I'm like, all right, watch, you paying attention, right? And he's thinking like, why is he putting a 2 on? I'm like, you watching, right? Pay attention to this. So I went over the spot with the 2. It's not doing nothing, bro. Right? I'm just doing the motion. I'm doing it. I'm like, you see what I'm doing, right? And he's like, yeah. He's confused. I'm like, watch. You see what I'm doing, right? And he's like, yeah. And I turn the client to the mirror. I'm like, how's that looking, bro? He's like, it looks good, man. Right? So I turn him back. I'm like, you see what I'm doing, right? And he just shakes his head, right? So the point was to show him like you're digging at something that he's wondering what the hell you're doing. He don't see it.
Yeah.
So then I put the one guard on and I showed him how to do it because it was a quick fix, right?
Yeah.
But the point I was trying to make to him was, at that point, you were better off spending 5 minutes doing a hot towel on his neck or a little shoulder massage with the little thing you had than sitting there nitpicking at his head at a spot that he's never going to see. Now he just feels like you're just dragging it out. But we've all been through that. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Especially when you're a newer barber.
Yeah, especially when you're starting and that's why I also think it's important as well to keep making sure you keep time every week to practice. Yeah. Whether it's practicing where you're going to be like getting content or whether it's just practicing to get better. Like have some time where it's just for you because you've got to keep part of what we do just for you to stay in love with it, as we said. Because every other job in the world has they do hobbies all night to keep themselves entertained so that they feel good during work hours. If you only cut hair behind the chair in the shop for paying customers, you're only ever working. You're not ever doing your passion side of it. So you've got to keep one evening a week to keep that fire burning. And that's one of the biggest things for me as an educator. It's not necessarily like information is important. Inspiration helps people to want to use the information. And then you've also got to teach people how to keep their own fire lit, right? If you don't teach people how to keep their own fire lit, then the fires are going to burn out. And that's the biggest thing with people is you've got like people need to understand how can I keep myself, like how can I keep my tank full? How can I keep my fire lit? That's more important than can I do graduation or not.
While you're there, I want you to stay there for a second because my cousin asked a great question. How do you keep yourself motivated on the days you're struggling with the steps to become who you want to be? So how would you answer that? Because I feel like you're kind of going into that.
So for me, the biggest one is reflection at that point. Look at like one of the biggest things I say to people, and this is why I think it's super important to not delete your stories. And when I say stories, I mean not delete your story of your page and your progression, or at least if you at best keep it on your camera roll, right? You know what I mean? Don't delete things out of your memories. So what I would say, one of the biggest things I would always suggest to people, if you're ever having a really low day where you feel like you're really not progressing, first of all, take more out of your bank. Right? If you feel like you're really not doing well and you don't want to, you're not motivated, you can't be bothered to do the stuff, you feel like there's no point to it, you're not going to get anywhere, do more out of your bank to gain more energy. But the best thing for me, what I would do is scroll all the way down my Instagram. Scroll down my Instagram and just scroll back up slowly. And look at who I was and look at who I am now. It's going to give me the faith to know that who I am now is going to turn into who I want to be if I keep following the steps that I was following, right? And keep ticking off these actions and completing these actions and keep taking a small step forward every day. But you also have to be, so like most human beings, they often don't see things as being worth it unless they think they're going to get huge fulfillment. But the thing is, you've got to learn to be fulfilled from the small steps because it's the small steps that you can take every day. You can't take giant leaps every day. You can't go from being one type of person to being this astronomically different person today. You can take small steps that are going to lead you to grow into that person. So like if you're always looking for that big sense of fulfillment, it's very, very, very rarely going to happen. And normally things that give you big senses of fulfillment are quite short term. So like if you win an award, for example, that's going to be great. But because you won that award, that the feeling of the award is going to go away in probably an hour after you won it, right? So like, okay, what's next? Because then it's on to the next. So you've got to learn to be fulfilled by the small things. And that was actually something that Tony Robbins said that I really resonated with. And he said that if you have to go to the moon to be fulfilled, you're guaranteed to lose. If you can learn to be fulfilled from a smile, then you're going to win every day. And that's the key for take from that is learn to be fulfilled from the small steps, because that's what's going to allow you to have more faith in the progression. And you've also got to have faith in yourself, right? I'm not necessarily a religious person, but I do believe heavily in faith because I think faith is really important. Now, whatever you need to have your faith in is whatever you need to have your faith in. I always have said I have faith in my own journey. Right? I was raised around a lot of different religions, right? I was raised half Catholic, half Hindu. Like I technically was raised Catholic, but my other side of my family was Hindu. And so I was raised around a lot of different religions and stuff, and I picked up faith from that. And I think having the faith to take the steps every day, knowing it's going to lead you to the person you want. If your faith has to be within God, talk to God, right? If your faith is within a different God, talk to a different God. If your faith is within yourself, talk to yourself, right? If your faith is within a person who you want to have a conversation with, do it, right? Whatever your faith is in, keep your faith, right? And use that faith every day to keep taking the small steps, knowing and being fulfilled from the small things and being present with the small things, rather than getting distracted by thinking, man, I used to be this person, now I'm this person. Why can't I be the person I want to be today? You're never going to be the person you want to be today. You can take steps towards that person. If you take 3 steps towards it today, 3 steps tomorrow, 3 steps a day after that, 3 steps a day after that, without realizing it, you'll do what you're about to do, which is go back down your Instagram, look back up and realize you came even further than you thought you were going to go. Because I guarantee you that 5 years ago, for most of us watching this, because we are that kind of person, right? We are the 1%. That's why we're in this conversation, right? You're going to have gone so much further than you thought you would in the last 5 years. So that automatically should give you the faith to know that, man, my journey is working. I am becoming who I want to be. I've just got to keep that going, right? And I've got to keep taking them steps.
I love that. It's all about giving yourself some perspective. You know, when we get so short-sighted and we get caught up in the moment, it's like, bro, take a couple steps back, and we got to give ourselves perspective and remind ourselves, man, how far we've, come. What you become is the result of what you do today. That's a fact.
I agree.
So you said you want to do you wanted to give away some, right? You was gonna give away what is that you was trying to give away? Barbers.
So we're going to give away one of the year courses. So obviously a lot of you know we do the year-long courses on the Online Academy. They don't last a year, like they last forever once you have them. And we're going to give away one. So if it's your first one, you'll get the year 1, the first one. If you already have the year 1, you'll get year 2 or year 3 or whatever. But yeah, we wanted to give away some education because I think that it's hopefully going to be a chance for someone who hasn't been able to participate in it so far to keep that fire lit and also keep the information going in, because that knowledge is potential. As we said, you got to remember to act upon it, right? But the knowledge is potential. So I'm excited to give that away. It's going to be cool.
I love it. So in a short sentence or two, I mean, if they've been paying attention, they already know, but how could you explain what they're going to learn in this course?
So let's base it off of the idea that they haven't done it before and they're going to go for the 1 year fundamentals. So the first year of education is our original online course, and it is going to encompass absolutely everything. So there's over 60 hours of education that you get to keep forever. There is 42, I think, full-length haircutting tutorials, start to finish haircutting tutorials of all hair styles, lengths, etc. And then there's also 12 theory sessions to fully start explaining the DFS formula, etc. Then, obviously, from there, you have the rest of the years, year 2 and year 3. Year 2 is, there's a lot of tutorials on there, but it's more like career development based. It's still very good for cutting too, but there's also a lot of like career stuff on there. And then year 3 is where we turn the DFS formula into then the real true precision of it. But the idea is it's a progression. It's a journey to go on of education. But the first year is essentially all encompassing. Like it does cover pretty much everything. And that's the course that we've had multiple people start their careers from. But it's like we originally designed it for advanced barbers because it is an advanced course. But what we do is that simple and that easy to do that beginners have taken it and just ran with it. So it's like no matter who you are, no matter what stage you're at in your career, there's going to be a huge amount of benefit in that. You also then are in our community. So if you've got any of our education, you always get discount on the rest of the education. You get to be within the ecosystem and hopefully be part of what we're doing long term, which is going to be really cool.
I love it. And I appreciate you willing to give it away to one of the barbers. It's funny, bro, because I always tell barbers, like when we just talk about different things, like, what should I invest in? What should I do? I always tell them, I'm like, bro, for haircutting, Barber.Josh.O.P Academy, do Chris Basio 6-figure barber mentorship, and then come do Marv's interactive social media course. That's going to give you, you got it all right there. You got it all. And then
that's the blueprint.
Even aside from that, being a part of the Marv course, Barber.Josh.O.P Academy, 245 mentorship, it's going to point you in the other direction to some other things too. So I love that. And I appreciate that you're going to be giving this away to somebody on this platform, because I'm always big up in your program. I'm like, bro,
I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you've built and the ecosystem that you're helping, because that's again what it's about. Like life is just about helping people, and the more people that we can help, and the more connected we are. And that's why I like connecting with people like yourself, because as we said before we came on, there's only like and a lot of people have always looked at, I think, me and what I do and thought that like, and initially that it was like me and I wanted it to be me up in the lights and all stuff like that. And it's literally the opposite. I'm not even a social media person. I don't like it. To me, it's a job, right?
Yeah.
And one of the 2 years ago, we rebranded from Barber.Josh.O.P to just OP to try to take me away from that. We've in silence been building that team because I want to be able to build something that empowers people to build and live their dreams. And like part of what we're doing is trying to take me away from that. I never ever wanted it to be about me. I want it to be about helping people. And there's only so many people I can help on my own. And if it is me and I'm the face of everything, then at the end of the day, I can only help a certain amount of people because I can only be in one place at once. A couple of weeks ago, we had 4 classes on in 4 different cities across the world. And to me, that was probably the proudest moment of my career because we're helping so many more people than I could help on my own. And that's the beauty of what we're trying to build as an ecosystem, is to help as many people as we can. And to do that, you need to have more people. You can't just have a one-man band. You can't have that idea of someone being famous, for example. It's got to be an ecosystem of help.
I love that, bro. I appreciate you. And just so you guys know, obviously we're picking somebody that's going to win tonight. Guys, if you entered the giveaway, let us know in the chat. Flood with a bunch of fire emojis, some gens if you entered the giveaway. So we're picking somebody to win, but for those of you that don't, because there's going to be obviously way more of you that don't, go to BarberJoshOP.com, and this is where you can download his app. Make sure you download his app. Got courses and stuff on there. You got the podcast and stuff like that too, right? You still got all that going? There's a whole bunch of dope content on the app, and you can find out more information on the courses. And again, I'm going to highly recommend that even if you don't get picked tonight to win, that you guys sign up for it. As you can just see from just this gem talk that shows no haircutting, it was life-changing. So just imagine what it's going to be like when you guys are learning some haircutting.
Yeah, and when I educate, even on the online academy, when I educate, I always educate direct. Like there's only a few that I've ever tried to voiceover. The reason I don't like doing voiceovers for me personally is because I like how I talk. And what I mean by that is like when I start getting on a roll, I'm going to touch upon so many different things and the relevance of it. So for like 90% of the online academy, I'm just teaching as I would if I was doing a class, because that way then like people are getting a real life education rather than me trying to remember what I did. Because that's I always find when I do voiceovers too, half the time I'm trying to remember, okay, what did I do in this? I know what the steps are, but like what was I thinking?
You're not in the moment anymore. So
if I'm teaching it,
back to it,
exactly. If I'm teaching it, I can teach you what I was thinking as I'm looking at the hair. And that's what I always believe in, giving the most organic, raw education possible, because that's what people are going to be able to actually learn from. As we said before we jumped on, I think it was, I don't like pre-planning models. Like I don't like, obviously for the online academy, I had to like actually invite people in to get the haircut. But like when it's for a class, I like to just kind of go, right, the model is the model, and I'm going to show you how I would treat this person if I wanted to do this haircut. That's it. And because you'll get educators a lot of the time and they'll be like, they only want perfect hair. They only want specific looks. It has to be certain length. It has to be a good looking model. And I'm like, that's not real education. That's showcasing. And that's totally fine if you're a showcaser. But to me, I'm an educator, not a showcaser.
I agree. So what we're going to do, for those of you who've been on the Gem Talk, you know how this has been working, and I want to keep going with it because it's been working good. But I'm going to ask you guys a set of questions, and you're all going to have to answer it, right? So what I will say is, number one, if you're watching this on a TV and you're not watching on a phone or computer, switch it to your phone so that way you can comment and answer the questions, and it can be fair to you, right? I would also ask, if you haven't entered the giveaway, please don't answer, because I do have the list of people who have entered, and it says, let me see how many we got. It says we have 77 people that entered. So if you're not one of those 77, please don't answer, because I'm going to double check to make sure it is you. And if you're not on that list, you're not going to get it, and you're going to waste everybody's time. We're not trying to waste everybody's time. You know what I'm saying, bro? So Barbers, let me know if you're ready. Type ready in the chat just so I can have an idea of who's ready. And while you guys are typing that, I will also make sure I mention, make sure you head to my Instagram. Got to do some my plugs. Go click the link in my bio. We'll take you to itsmarvymarv.com if it ever loads. And there you can get a free Boppers digital business card. I recommend you get that. You can see the other Gem Talks as well there. You can enroll in my Interact social media course. You can buy shirts, hoodies, all of that fun stuff. There's some free downloads. So make sure you check all of that out after you get off the Gem Talk as well. So you guys got some things that y'all got to do. Okay, cool. So a lot of people are saying ready. So Josh, I hope they've been paying attention. A lot of people try to hop on at the end and then just stick around for the giveaway, and then they never win, because usually when I'm asking them questions, there's questions from all throughout. So they might know one of them, but
nice.
they don't but they don't know the other one. So again, we're giving away one of the courses after I pick the winner, after whoever wins, we'll make sure you and Josh connect, so that way you can get it. All right, so guys, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. All right, and I need you to answer them in the order that I asked them. All right, in one comment, not 3 separate comments, one comment in the order that I asked them, in order to be eligible to win. And then we're going to go by whoever answers it first on my screen, because my screen is the official screen. Sometimes it comes a little different depending on people's internet. My screen is the official screen, so I'm not arguing with none of y'all, all right? Whoever pops up first on mine is going to be the winner. All right, so I'm going to ask you 3 questions, 1 comment. Let's get it. Here we go. The first question is, what city did Josh just recently move to? The second question is, how many areas of fulfillment did Josh say there was to find balance? And the third question is, what is the name of the book that I suggested you read? Go! Fire away in the comments. First question, what city did Josh move to? Second question, how many areas of fulfillment did Josh say there are to find balance? Third, what is the name of the book I suggested y'all to read? Let's go. Let's see who's going to get it right. Boom, boom, boom. Let's say, I got them working on this one. They probably had it all planned, because I've done some of them the same way and I switched it up and messed with them a little bit. All right, so again, I hope you guys have entered. So let's see. The first one that pops up on my end is the Desi Barber with Tampa, 5 areas, and the 4 agreements. Is that who popped up on your end too? That's what popped up on my end. Bet. So Desi Barber, if you're still on here, comment your Instagram name so I could just confirm that you entered. Comment your Instagram name in the comments. He was quick with it. Let's go.
Yeah, he was good. He was good. He was on it.
Yeah.
Good questions too.
They were, right? I'm like, you know what? They had to be ones where, you know,
you had to have watched the whole way through.
Yeah. I tried to get one through like the beginning, middle, the end to keep them on. So let's see. The Desi Barber, right? Let's just confirm. I know he's gonna be good money, but we just gotta confirm. Search the Desi. Boom. You are all set, bro. So
let's go.
Congrats, everybody. Show love to the Desi Barber. He said, damn, his finger's fast. Show love, drop fire emojis, drop a lot of gems. And so what's the best way for him to DM you or email you or what?
So if he emails education@BarberJoshOP.com, can I type in his chat if I can?
Try to. I'll put it up on the screen too. Education at
no, I can't. Education@BarberJoshOP.com.
BarberJosh. I put BarberHop. BarberJoshOP.com.
Yeah.
Education@BarberJoshOP.com.
That's correct.
So that's what you're gonna email. You're gonna email him. Obviously, if something happens, bro, like just DM me or DM.
I mean, you can DM me, but let's just the best way to email because the guys can just get that uploaded for you.
Perfect.
Which will be the quickest and easiest way.
Boom. Let's go. So, yo, bro, I appreciate you, man. How you guys feeling about this conversation? Do you feel like it was a gem talk? Flood the chat with gems. You know, I already know how they do. They're gonna be like, we need a part 2. We be having a fire.
Let's go. Let's run it.
How do you feel about the conversation, bro?
Bro, I loved it. I'm like, you can probably tell I could go all night.
Ain't it crazy? We could go for another 6 hours and it wouldn't even
100%. I love this kind of stuff because like we discussed before we came on, it's very rare that you get time and opportunity to spend just talking with people like this. That's why, like now with the OP45, me and Bossio, we once I get like this the next set of courses out of the way, our plan is daily to just go to the office together and just cook, because that's what you need to be in. You need to be in an environment where you have people who are going to fuel you. And because that's the thing, like if you can be in an environment people fuel you, you're going to be dangerous. And I think that anybody who's creative, anybody who's got who's motivated and inspired. If you can be around others that are motivated and inspired, you can achieve some incredible things. And I think that's going to be a really cool future for the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. It's just an exciting time for the industry, for us as a company, and for our entire ecosystem. I've said for a long time, like, if anybody who's joining the DFS formula as like almost like the movement it is right now, we're going to look back in 10 years time and be like, fuck, we saw this when it was just starting. When it was just starting, when you got to think in 10 years time, we could be getting every single barber who learns at school learns this. And it's like, half these people in the live today probably have attended some of the classes at some point and have seen the DFS formula at some point, or will do at some point. And then in 10 years time, we'll look back and be like, damn. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited for you, bro. And, you got my support. You got anything you ever need from me, bro. You already know. I'm only
appreciate that, bro. And
only
likewise, what did you think about the chat?
Oh, I loved it, bro. I love just being able to sit back and watch you snap. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you beforehand, like, just go off. I can rant to these guys at any time I want. I go on Instagram and yell at them anytime I want. So I'm like, we got an opportunity to have Barber.Josh.O.P. I don't want to do most of the talking. I want to learn. I want to listen. I want to get him fired up. I want him to give as much as he can. And I think you did, bro. I think you did a great job. I think that, again, like you're going to, a lot of this going to be, wish there was a part 2 of this young talk. And what I would say to a lot of you guys tapping in.
I love that guy. I've actually cut that guy's hair.
Did you?
That Kazim. Yeah, he's from, so he lives not too far from where I live in the US, well, I used to live in the UK.
Yeah.
And he came to the academy and modeled for one of my classes. So that was cool to see. It's good to see he's in here.
That's fire, bro. And Desi too. Bopper's gonna hook you up with a care package too as a winner. Fire. So make sure you message Bopper brand on Instagram, and let me know if you're in my course too. If you're not in my course already, I'm gonna give you free access to my social media course as well. If you're already in the course, I'll give you access to one of my other courses. But hit me up on Instagram and let me know. We're gonna throw that in too, as well. So let me ask you, as far as your legacy and impact, bro, when you reflect on your career, what legacy do you hope to leave behind in the world of, barbering and haircutting? And what impact do you truly aspire to have on the next generation of barbers?
So if I could leave any legacy behind, it would be a legacy of people appreciating themselves more.
I love that, bro.
People smiling more. People enjoying their life more. That's what I would like to be. I can't say an example of, because like there's one thing to do it for yourself, but if I can help people, and that's the only thing I've ever wanted to do. I want to help people do that. Like one of the main things that, and it's not to plug it, it's just to explain kind of the path that I'm on, is we're trying to get me almost away from the DFS formula educating per se, because we want to help empower the team and build a team. So the haircutting education, I'm not going to be doing as much haircutting education next year. I'm still going to do good haircutting education, but not as much of it, because what I want to focus more so on is the mentoring and life coaching. So we're launching our mentorship program next year, which is where I see my real true purpose, because I feel like my biggest gift that I think I have is psychology. And being able to help and read people and help people to understand how they kind of need to work for themselves. And that's where I kind of want to go with it. So that's like my personal legacy, is I want to be able to help people to help themselves more and to understand themselves and be happier and smile more. And when it comes to the company, we want to be able to help create a place and help the industry to become a place where people feel like they're capable. That's the real goal for me. I want everyone that we meet, like I've always said, our goal with education, it appears to me like most education and most education companies, they kind of want to teach you only what they want you to know, and they kind of want it to look hard, as we said, so that you'll think, oh, they're great. And I don't mean that
they can charge more. It's like, this is why we got to charge so much more.
We need to go back and do it again because we didn't quite understand it. Like, I want people to watch what we do. I want people to watch what we do on stage, look at the DFS formula in a class, and go, holy fucking shit, that's so easy. I think I can go and do that now. That's what I want people to feel like. I want people to feel capable. I want people to feel capable of succeeding technically, but more importantly, of feeling capable of succeeding emotionally and creating a life that they want to live. And that's got to be, for me, the big one that I want myself and the team and everything that we do to leave behind is help empowerment, and building a life that they're going to enjoy.
I love it. Selling belief, bro. Like it's nothing. It's not. It's so sad to see people not believe in themselves and not believe they can do anything they put their mind to, and settling and doing things that don't genuinely make them happy because they don't believe they can do it. So I'm on this. As you know, bro, like we've discussed this. Like I'm on that same mission. I'm trying my best to sell y'all belief in yourself.
Yeah,
you know, because you can do anything if that you really want to do, as long as you're willing to work for it, bro.
Exactly. If I can be an example of anything, because there's not many times I want myself to be the example of it. I want to help people to be empowered and to be the example themselves. And to like, I actually wrote something on Threads not long ago. Let me get it up because it was a good one. And I put focus less on being the inspiration and focus more on helping people to find inspiration within themselves. And that's the key. I don't want to be the inspiration. I want to help you find inspiration within you. And I think that's got to be the key, that people, I think more people should live like that. I think a lot of people get caught up into the social media, they get caught up into TV and like celebrities, and they want to be the inspiration. Like I have people, and it's coming from a good place. I have students, and they'll come to me and they'll be like, I want to change the world. I want to create something that's the next big thing. And I'm like, yes, but what value are you bringing? Like, you can't just change the world. You've got to have something that you want to give the world, right? The world's got to choose whether it wants it or not. But if you just focus on what you're going to give, what you gain is going to be going crazy, right? But if you focus on what you're going to gain, you're never going to give enough to gain it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, so that's what I want people to kind of get on board with. And if I can be an example of anything going into that, if I can be an example of anything, it would just be that you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. I always tell people, bro, I'm trying my best to be a mirror to hold up to remind you that you are a beast. You are a savage. You're a legend. That's all I'm trying to do, is be that mirror that you can see that, bro. Because so many people look in the mirror and they see that little sheep. You know, that's scary. It's like, no, bro.
100%.
Look, you are a
100%.
lion. You're a savage.
Bro,
just here to remind you, bro.
I love that, because that literally is exactly what our mission is. I want everyone, like our mission statement written down is to help everyone see, feel, and harness their value. And that is it. We want to be the mirror. Exactly as you're saying. It's the perfect way to put it. I want everyone to literally see how amazing they are and what value they bring to the world, and how, like, that's why all of our hats, our initial slogan was irreplaceable, because every single person on planet Earth is irreplaceable as they are, right? There's only one version of you. You are the best version of you to ever exist, and that will ever exist, because you're the only one, right? You are irreplaceable, every single one of you, and no one could ever be better. And that's what I'm saying, like, appreciate and give your best you can now, because whatever you do today, that's the best that you could have ever done, right? As long as you try, right? And that's the thing. My deepest fear in life is living a life that I could have tried harder. And that's what I use as motivation. Like, my only fear really in life is that I don't want to get to, and like we all do it sometimes, we all get to the end of a day and we're like, fuck, I could have done more today, right? But that's your motivation. I don't want to live a life where consistently I could have done more. I want to live a life where I've given my all, I've done my best. And that's all I can ever ask of myself. And if I can be an example of anything, as I said, it would just be a case of, you can do whatever you set your mind to, but you've got to fully commit to it. You're not going to do what you want to do if you don't commit. You have literally got to commit your life and soul to living and being that person. And that's why, like, when it comes to the self-design and the mentoring yourself kind of idea, I controversially sometimes will say to people, like, my name is Josh, right? I am just Josh. Barber.Josh.O.P is my mentor. He's a construct. He's a concept. Barber.Josh.O.P is not real. That's who I'm striving to be. It's who I'm accountable to. It's who I want to be, right? That's just an online persona. And it's not even a persona, it's an online image, essentially. And that's what everyone should be like. You got to understand that that's what you want to be striving towards, right? What I'm putting out is what I'm striving towards. I'm always keeping myself accountable to that standard, because the only standard that I ever have to meet in life is the one I set for myself. But the standard that I set for myself is going to be determining what life I live. So for every single person watching, the only standard you have to meet is your standards. You don't have to meet anyone else's standards. But if you set yourself low standards, expect a low quality of life. If you set yourself high standards, expect a higher quality of life. And when I say that, I mean achievement of goals. If you set yourself the standard of achieving, you're going to be an achiever. If you set yourself the standard of not achieving and hope, right? Again, the phrase I used to use was, don't wish for it, work for it. And that'll be something that I can put my hands up and leave on for tonight. But don't wish for it, work for it. That's the only way to put it.
Barbers, if you haven't done so already, take a screenshot so that way, or take a picture so that way you can share it to your stories, and let us know some thoughts too when you share it. When you share it, let us know how you felt about it. Let the people know what they missed out on. Barbers, I know you guys love this conversation. I love it too. And I say this every time, and I mean it every time. And I know Josh means it whenever he says it, bro. We could do this for another 24 hours. But unfortunately, we got to wrap it up for the night. So for those of you who don't already follow Barber.Josh.O.P, make sure you search him up on every social media platform you're on and follow him there. Even if he's not being active on there, follow him, because who knows, he might be active there tomorrow. All right. Follow him wherever he's at. Anything he comes out with, support it, because it's going to be high quality, it's going to be high value, and it's going to be life-changing. Barbers, we truly appreciate y'all spending 3 hours with us. Y'all could have been doing anything else, right? We talked about this earlier. Time you don't get back. Y'all invested 3 hours of your life with us. We will never just take that for granted. We will forever be appreciative of it, because you gave us the one thing that you'll never get back, and that's your time. And you gave us 3 hours of it. So we truly appreciate y'all. Is there any last thing you want to leave them with before we wrap this up, bro? Or do we give them enough? Save the rest for part two.
Yes and no, but I think I'm going to leave it with is do things with good intentions for yourself and for your world. And what I mean by that, I always talk about your world a lot, and what I mean by that is everyone in your world. You should always do things with good intentions for you and your world, because that's all you need to care about. If you care about and you focus on giving as much as you can for your world, and whether your world is a whole string of employees or whether your world is just your family, whatever it is, just focus on doing good things for the people in your world, and you'll watch your world transform.
Yeah, amen. And when you do things with good intentions and you lead with love, it's a lot easier for you to sleep at night, regardless of what chatter might be, because you know that your intentions were good and you led with love. People say that to me sometimes. How do you deal with haters and this and that and the third? I lead with love, and I'm good intentions. So that is what that is. Doesn't mean I'm always right. No, there are some times where I may look back and be like, damn, I handled that wrong. But at the end of the day, I'm doing my best to lead with love and be pure and be genuine and be good. So I can sleep. I'm walking around with me every day. I got peace of mind.
The phrase that I was using before was that it's important to be as good as we can at cutting hair, but it's even more important to be a good person. And I think that's got to be the first and foremost thing we ever focus on. It's like, how are we being as a person? What are we putting out into the world? What energy are we putting out into the world? What do people feel when they're around us, right? Do you know what I mean? Because that's what it's going to be, the lasting impression. Whether it comes to haircutting or any form of art or craft or ability in anything, right? Your ability at something is what makes you relevant, right? Your ability is what makes you relevant, but it's your energy that keeps you relevant. And that's got to be the thing. If you want to stay relevant within your world, it's your energy that's going to do so. Your ability, like the controversial phrase maybe I used to say is like, if you're a dick 3 times in a row, there's not going to be a fourth. If you're talking about customers, you could do the best haircut in the world, but if you're a dick 3 times in a row, the 4th time is not happening, right? But if you just focus on being a good person, giving good energy, right, you're going to have a relationship, and that's where it's going to stem from. So the energy is going to keep you relevant. Your ability, though, you have to focus on, because it's what gets you noticed, what makes you relevant.
Love it, bro. I appreciate you, homie. Barbers, flood the chat with gems as we're wrapping this up. Thanks again, dog. And I'm going to wrap this up on the live stream, but I want you to stick around for a couple of minutes once it ends, just so I can chat with you real quick. Barbers, we appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys.
Go follow Barber.Josh.O.P.
A ton of love.
If you don't.
A ton of love. Any questions, you let me know. DM me, whatever. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Barber.